All right, mic check, mic check. Just like that, we are live. Thank you so much for joining me. Whether you're watching this live, appreciate you being here very much. Gonna be talking about the latest on GameStop and just markets as a whole today. Of course, Nvidia, the forever bull market, right? After you get a bunch of insider sells, you finally get a little bit of downward price action. It has another big day, 6.7%, but just all the norm for Nvidia, right? Like it's crazy. And just to me, it's remarkable that a company of this market cap can move so dramatically. Like I understand it's a growth play. It is very much in demand, like what they're doing. It's very hyped up right now in terms of like artificial intelligence and processors and everything like that, right? But to me, it's crazy that a stock of this magnitude can move up 158% over a 6 month period and then briefly be the most valuable company on the stock exchange. And then also, another thing people were saying is that it's about to rebalance a little bit due to just end of the quarter coming up, and then also monthly, depending on the ETF, right, or whatever their particular schedule is. There's a lot of rebalancing done, and obviously becomes more heavily weighted as the value goes up if like another stock within the ETF doesn't move, right? But that's in the details, right? Not gonna be talking too much about Nvidia, but it is quite the story to watch. Don't get me wrong, right? I have various other things to talk about today too, like just Rivian, 48% after hours because they struck a deal with was it Volkswagen to set up some new EVs. I mean, forgot about Rivian entirely, honestly. But look, anyone who bought Rivian in 2021 got absolutely burned. I believe they did a reverse split at one time, and a lot of the car companies, right? A lot of people were talking about Lucid. That was another big one at the time. Yeah, and I'm not saying, oh yeah, like these are all great, right? But it's funny how, I mean, it's not really funny when people lose money, right? But at this time, it's oh yeah, like this is a home run, and then this move right here, oh my god, I'm such a genius, and then I hear, oh, I'm buying the dip, and then now, yeah, I mean, the reality of it is Tesla's really the only one that's selling a lot of electric cars, and even the companies that are, right? Yeah, like Lucid's putting some cars out there. I don't know the specifics of Rivian and some of these other companies, right? They're putting out cars, but are they doing it profitably? 9 out of 10 cases they are not, and then that's hard to sustain. And especially in 2021, zero interest rate environment, you can essentially borrow money for free. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but Larry Chang had a quick live stream. It was about like 25 minutes or so the other day. Had some pretty good insight there, and he basically said at one point, I would prefer to operate in this high interest rate environment because it doesn't make capital free. Because in a low interest rate environment where we're actually in a zero interest rate environment, it's a situation where capital's just pretty much free to borrow entirely. So crazy. But in BM, Giga, Randy, Coffee, what up, what up? Thank you everyone for being here. Navidides. Yeah, Giga, I'm sure you've seen me. I always comment on that guy Greg on X, right? That always cracks me. I was like, hey, you want some of these? Going live now on YouTube, talking GameStop stock and more. GME. Have you guys heard of that one? GME? Interesting ticker. Interesting story behind it, if I don't say so myself. All right, make sure that's all good. And thank you guys for following me on X too and subscribing and just being here along this journey. I've grown a lot these past couple months. I feel like I'm really starting to kick things into gear, and obviously it's helped that GameStop has become more talked about than it has, I would say, since 2021. We haven't really seen this kind of attention towards it, and then it's also like pretty funny where all of a sudden, excuse me, everyone's suddenly and Giga, thank you, appreciate that. Uh, all of a sudden, everyone's like a GameStop expert, right? When I say that, people are like, "Oh, you think you're a GameStop expert because you've been in the stock for a long time?" No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say like it's funny how they come out of the woodwork like when it's trending, like it's trendy to talk about. And see, speaking of trends, got this little blue line here, kind of fell below it a bit, but you could theoretically move it like this, right? It's still an uptrend, but we'll see. I really, thinking about this more and more and talking to some friends about it, I have a hard time seeing it go below 20 again because when it's below 20, you're looking at a situation where pretty much half the market cap is in cash. Is it impossible? No. But I just really don't see a scenario where we go back into the teens and then $10 at that point, pretty much the whole market cap is represented in cash. And I have a hard time believing that they're not going to make a net profit for full year 2024 and beyond. In the high interest rate environment, they're able to earn a lot of interest on their cash. And yes, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, like that's all they need to do. Everything's fine and dandy, but they don't have to rush to do anything. So long as operations are break even, they can earn a bunch on their cash. So, and you can see that right here where they lost 50.6 million, and their interest income was about 15 million, making their total net loss of 32.3. I think in the following quarters, it's going to be even more positive in terms of the operating loss, or even more improved, I guess I should say. And then interest income, I know this number is definitely going to be higher considering that they basically 4x'd the amount of cash they have. They went from 1 billion up to roughly 4 billion, or 4.1125 if we want to be technical, right? And you can see here, just look at the improvement on the net income. Yes, the revenue going down is not the most ideal, but I would rather the revenue go down in the short term and then the net income continue to improve. To me, the most, or how do I want to put this, like the best part of 2023 for GameStop in terms of like their earnings as a whole and just all their numbers is seeing the swing on the bottom line. The fact that they dropped 654 million in terms of revenue, again, not ideal, but they were able to swing a near 320 million dollars up to be net positive for the first time since I believe it was 2017. So there's still much more work to be done, and of course, those of you that know me know I'm not in the business of giving financial advice. I'm here to just document my journey on GameStop and just talking about other stocks, learning about the markets. Hopefully, help you guys learn some stuff myself as well. So yeah, your volume is low. Oh, is it, Randy? Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I think it's better. I think when I start out, the thing is, like it's not like I start talking as I'm like putting on the headset, right? But I probably should upgrade my mic at some point. The thing is, I don't live by myself, and like where I stream, it's pretty open to this side, so I can't like it can't always be quiet. So it's kind of better to have a headset because if I had like an actual mic, which I did think about getting one, it's gonna pick up like a lot of background stuff. From I mean, not always. Like right now, there's no one around here. It'd be fine, but that's kind of why I haven't upgraded at this point. And ideally, in the not so distant future, I'll be getting a new spot where I'll be setting up the whole background and everything. I'll have a nice little streaming setup. Right now, this is temporary. It's better than what I had before. Those of you that were with me when I was like doing it in the basement, also not good. I mean, not good, but I feel like this is definitely better than where I was at previously. But I got a long way to go, right? So I appreciate you being here, Randy. Coffee, let's see. NVIDIA, I sold this morning, so it went up. You're welcome, market. Exactly, Coffee. That's how it goes, right? That's always how it tends to go. I don't mind GB selling shares and putting money in the bank. Ryan Code and his team are putting the pain on the shorts. Exactly. And I was talking about this with some friends today as well, or just texting about it rather, where they are still being shorted. It's still everyone's betting against them. Still, the media is attacking them, right? And the other companies, like in the so-called baskets, have been shorted and also, had a lot of negative attention, whether it be AMC, BlackBerry, any other name you want to put in there. But the only one that's really turned it around and is really on track for greatness, in my opinion, is GameStop, and that's where it stands out. It's like, okay, if you want to keep shorting the whole basket to short those other stocks, sure, but GameStop's in there and they're in very good financial condition. What they're going to do next, I think, is to be seen. And the more and more I think about it and the more time that passes, I'm really under the belief that, and also think about Ryan Cohen's commentary on the conference call, or not conference call, but the annual meeting. Very brief, but very specifically mentions the unprecedented times we're in terms of monetary and fiscal policy. So with that being the case, I think he's saying without saying, we're stacked with cash, but we're not going to make any moves until we get a great deal that presents itself. We're not going to go out of our way to overpay for something in a very high valuation environment. So we're going to wait as long as we need. And in the meantime, we'll continue to take advantage of the high interest rates in terms of earning on our cash through cash equivalents, marketable securities, things of that nature, right? So definitely the next earnings report is going to be really, really interesting to see because that's where we're going to see, like on the balance sheet, the cash they raised, and I will also see it on the cash flow statement. It'll be down here in investing activities, or I'm sorry, financing activities. Yes, yeah, financing. So I looked at the right part, but I said the wrong thing because they basically issued the shares outright. And again, it was ATM, so it was sold into the open market. And to me, the most impressive thing is the fact that they sold 120 million shares. Their share count is now, what do we have? Roughly 426 million. It was like 306 million prior because they sold about 120 million shares. So it was about 306 million prior. And they issue 120 million shares into the market, right? Like they increased the amount of shares outstanding by roughly 33%. Yet still the stock has held up very well, considering where it was earlier in the year. Right? This is what I was saying last stream, I think, and then I'll say it again. In April, if I told you GameStop stock price is going to be up 150% from where we are now. It's going to go from $10 up to 25, and they're going to have completed two, not one, two share offerings, 45 million and then another 75 million, and they're going to raise a total of $3 billion through those share offerings, and the stock's still going to be 150%. You would say, get out of here. There's no way that's happening. And I think the board very specifically chose this time. I couldn't tell you exactly why, but they didn't just do it like out of nowhere. Then also, there's a lot of theories thrown around there, and I always try and read very in depthly with things, especially with these theories, and take them with a grain of salt because there's so much just things people put out there like, oh my god, this, oh my god, that, and it's like it's so general or it's based on old information, right? And sometimes like really big counts, and I'm like, come on, guys, come on, we got to be better than this, right? We got to keep reading, but at the same time, it's fine to get excited. It's fine to read theories. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying you got to take things with a grain of salt and always just do research and do your due diligence, no matter what the stock is, what the situation is. It's really important in the day and age of the internet. But having said all that, with GameStop and the CAT system out now, the consolidated audit trail, which I have a little more information on, we'll get into soon, people were saying how there it's a lot of trades basically not recorded on specific days where GameStop tends to go up a lot. And when you date it back, people are starting to wonder, is that how Roaring Kitty started timing his options trades? Because when you look way back at his trades, he was always very, very good at timing in terms of when he was buying options. And I even saw some speculation. There's been big volume on a particular call. I think it was the monthly July option, $30 call, had a lot of volume recently and some big like whale action and coming in. So potentially him. I don't know. We haven't heard from him in a while. No tweets, no Reddit posts, no nothing, right? But also, if I told you back in April that Roaring Kitty was going to return, you'd say, you're crazy. Nah, that's not actually going to happen, right? And the fact that he left with 200,000 shares, then you consider the split, that's 800,000. So he went from 800,000 to 5 million shares over all that time, and also all the call options. And then with the call options, that is now 9.001 million shares because he has 9,001,000 shares total, which is crazy because when you look at all of GameStop shares outstanding, he's literally one of the largest holders. And keep in mind, these institutional numbers are out of date. It's the last reported March 31st. So until we get an update on these, it's hard to know for sure if this is exactly the case. But if you use these previous numbers, he's technically like the third largest institution, right? But he's not an institution. He's an individual investor. But just pretty bizarre, right? Pretty awesome, if you ask me, and truly unique story where just an average guy creating YouTube videos just like myself, and I'm not trying to compare us in any which way, but just creating videos, talking about why he likes the stock, what's different things he sees, what's going on, works his way up to become one of the largest shareholders in a multi-billion-dollar public company. Isn't that truly remarkable? It really is truly remarkable. And the same people saying like, "Oh yeah, Roaring Kitty's manipulating markets." Oh my God, are the same ones that think it's fine that institutions do the same kind of things left and right. And even in the clip where he's on CNBC that I have on my Twitter, and got a couple of miscellaneous things. I'll talk about that in a minute. The MMTLP story. It's some interesting stuff there. I've only briefly read about it, but it's always good to read and learn. But this clip right here, where is she? I think it's my biggest tweet ever. It's actually crazy. Oh, and I bookmarked my own tweet. But Andrew left, not a happy camper during during Roaring Kitty's live stream. But and is it just me, or do the hosts basically imply that it's okay for institutions to drive the market in one direction or another because that's just how it is? But in other segments, they accuse Roaring Kitty of market manipulation for simply talking about a stock he likes. Funny how that works, right? It's like one giant. What do they say? What's that guy? George Carlton's like, it's one giant club, and we ain't in it. Something like that, right? And it's true. This is so funny. How do you not like love that? It's hilarious. Just side by side. Like I got a nice little zoom up. It's funny how I recorded this clip is I was obviously watching the Roaring Kitty stream and I was like, they're definitely gonna talk about this on CNBC. So I turned on the TV, but then I paused it. And then I watched the stream and then I went and I looked and I was like, okay, what did they say during it? And then I was like, oh, I gotta record this. This is so good. And it's like a crappy video. It's literally just done on my phone.
GameStop, and he says
the
as
audio's
much.
not
What's
very
the
good
plan? That's
because it's literally just again on my phone. I'm just holding it by the TV, trying to keep my hands as straight as possible. But Crazy. What a world. What a journey this is. And the fact that he came back, the fact that GameStop raved all this cash, it's crazy. You told me two months ago this would have happened. I said, what are you talking about? What are you smoking crack? This is crazy. This is crazy. But here we are, guys. Here we are. What a journey we're on. Thank you guys again for being here. Appreciate all of you popping in. Whether you're here for a little bit, long time, I appreciate you all. Let's see. Do you believe there will be another ATM in July or August? Jackson's, thanks for being here. I don't think so because at this time, they do have pretty significant amount of cash, and when you look at their filings, they're going to be in a situation where this number is going to go up to roughly 4 billion, or I should say these two numbers combined right here are going to be worth 4 billion. So their balance sheet is very, very healthy. And given that I don't think they're going to make any moves unless we get into a market crash scenario or a really excellent opportunity presents itself where it's really, truly a good deal, I don't think they're going to make any moves in the near future. I think definitely they're going to make moves as time rolls on, but they're going to be very patient, not going to be overly aggressive for no reason. But at the same time, like, do you want to just keep issuing shares? It really depends like what their long-term plan is in terms of like how big they want to go with an acquisition or how big the moves there are they want to make. But I would think probably where they're at right now, they're good. I feel like it's pretty healthy balance sheet. They basically 4x the amount of cash on hand, so I would think probably not. But then again, after the first one, I didn't think there would be another one, and it happened, right? And then what's crazy is how that one happened, and it was first one was done in a matter of 6 trading days. Crazy. And then you have the second one done in a matter of 3 trading days. So again, I think the board was very particular in their timing of the share offering. So having said that, I do trust them to make the right decision going forward if they feel a share offering is necessary. And as they continue to do this, they essentially, to me, raised floor of the stock because if you have that amount of cash per share equivalent to the stock price, then you can just turn around and start buying back shares, right? I don't know of any, or I guess I should look into it more, like the specific rules of maybe some time in between before you can start repurchasing shares after issuing shares, or if there's anything like that, because they can't trade their own stock, obviously, right? Like they have to be within compliance. So if it goes really low, though, I don't think it's impossible that they actually turn around and buy back shares. But I don't think they would be overly aggressive in doing that because if they start buying back a ton of shares, then all the cash dwindles away, right? So just all food for thought there. But I don't personally see it coming, but it's certainly not impossible. Tetron, I'm late. Hope you're having a good week. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. It's kind of a hectic week. I said I'm going to stream Tuesday and Thursday, but you know what I realized Thursday is? It's literally my birthday. So I don't know if I'm gonna stream that day, but the thing is too, I'm leaving for my trip next week, going to Croatia. Very exciting. I got my girlfriend's family. There's a wedding, and then also we're vacationing there as well. So got a really busy week, like, cause I'm leaving like Tuesday next week. So all of a sudden, like, there's so much going on, and then just regular life, my job, getting organized, right? All these other little things. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Time's flying. So that's why I've also been off X a little bit. I'm usually tweeting a lot. I haven't posted as much the past few days. And I was caught up watching the game last night. It's game 7. I love hockey. Stanley Cup final. Sad the Oilers couldn't pull it out, but it is what it is. And with that out of the way, that's one little less distraction though to worry about, so that's good at least. What up? GME popping before the close. Yeah, Patrick, thank you for being here. It's a great point that I didn't even get to yet. When you look at GameStop, later in the day here, some speculation. Is this an insider buy? Possibly, maybe, not necessarily. And see a little bit of, after a little downwards in the post market, we're going up a little bit, but I always take the post market and pre market with a grain of salt. And because also there's just not as much volume and liquidity, so the price can theoretically move around more. But nice little pop to end the day. If it was in fact an insider purchase, it would have to be within 2 business days that we get a Form 4 filing. And I don't think it's impossible that it was Ryan Cohen. I mean, maybe this particular time right here isn't, or he's planning to in the future, but I feel like just given all the commentary and noise, it seems like in times of doubt previously, that's when he's chosen to purchase more shares. And then also it just reiterates his belief in the company and in what he's doing in leading the company. And again, remember, he's never been compensated any shares. He has 100% purchased them with his own money that he earned, most of it by creating Chewy, taking it public. So it would be a nice vote of confidence, but at the same time, This man has never sold a single share, and he put all his own money in. He takes zero compensation. So, with that being the case, I think that already displays confidence in his long-term plan. They have plenty of time to shop around and formulate a plan, assuming they don't already have one. Who knows? I'd rather be skiing. Thank you for being here. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's absolutely right. Pretty sure they'll do it again. Billions of free cash. Can't get another way so easily. They can buy profit at that point. Keep the cash use as leverage to get what you want. Sort of like options, really. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a valid point. And again, I really believe, and I think people think like I'm just saying this to say it, but I really do genuinely believe in the people running the company. And that's one of the most major reasons I'm invested in the company. And hearing what Larry Chang had to say, while it's very general, not specific to GameStop, it was nice. And also, I appreciate his tweets because it just gives you perspective of the way a board member thinks. Like, while he's only one board member, he's very close with Ryan Cohen. And if you're not aware, Larry Chang is part of a company called Volition Capital that he's a founder of. So he's co-founder of Volition Capital. And Volition Capital was the first institutional investor in Chewy, or not institutional, but basically when Chewy was raising capital, they couldn't find anyone. No one wanted to put money in it. Oh, are you not gonna be able to compete with Amazon? Oh, the margins aren't there. Pets. Everyone does that, right? It's very competitive. But after, I think it was literally a couple hundred meetings, finally he met Larry Chang. He met with Volition Capital. Like, we believe in this guy, Ryan Cohen. We're going to invest. And obviously, it worked out very, very well for them. And if you look into Volition, you look on their website, they do a lot of different stuff. And then Larry, a lot of like private investing too. Like, for example, they invested in Chewy when it was private and it went public, and obviously they made out very well. But the two public companies are GME and Grove that he's a board member on. And then also private companies. I'm not too familiar with Grove. I'll have to look into them more, but you could look more into Volition Capital right here. And he's always got, I really think he always has good like insights because it's just good general business knowledge. And you can watch the live stream back if you're interested. Oh, yeah, some of the comments were going crazy on that. Some people say some wild out of pocket stuff. And someone has a recording of them sending the comment. Something like, you and Ryan Cohen could do my wife, or it's just something corny. And there's like a reaction. You can see like he like smiles and laughs because he like reads it because he's trying to do like a Q&A at the end. But yeah, no, I really do believe in the company to make the right decision because again, if they had chose to issue shares back here, I don't think we would be where we are today, and they definitely would not have been able to raise as much cash because keep in mind, they sold the last round of shares at an average price of $28.49 to 75 million, and then the 45 million were sold at an average price of $20.74. So, at the end of the day, I believe them to make the best decisions, and it kind of brings me to my next point where even if they're operating break even, right? So if we look at, let's look at the 10K. How far back do we have to go for that? Damn. Where are we at here? Okay, boom, the annual filing. So we look at the 10K. Oh, this is not it. All right, well, if we just go to earnings, where are we? Okay, 2023, the earnings release. So this is the 14 weeks ended. We could do the 53 weeks ended. So this is for the full year. And again, look at that swing on the bottom line going from negative 313 million to positive 6.7. Yes, not a huge profit, not OMG, wow, everything's amazing, but very much an improvement year over year. And then look at total SG&A, how much that went down. It's about a $350-ish million swing downwards in terms of the amount of money spent on SG&A, kind of just overhead costs, generally speaking. But then look at EPS, $1.05 swing. So when you look further at this here, we'll zoom in a little more. You have the SG&A as a significant portion, and then you also like as a significant factor here, and then with the operating loss from negative 311 million to negative 34.5. So it's important to remember that this is gross profit percentage right here, or not percentage is a whole number, but there's gross profit, there's operating profit, and then there's net profit. So while you maybe see me show this chart, it is important to note the gross margin versus net margin. The operating margin is not included on here. However, why I'm harping on this a little bit here is you can see that their interest income was $49.5 million off their cash equivalents, marketable securities for the full year of 2023. Now, with $4 billion in cash, if you assume a 5% rate, using the federal funds rate, rounding down slightly, it could be even a little bit more, they could theoretically earn about $200 million. And that doesn't even include compounding, right? Because think about it, if you just earn cash, you put it in, that cash begins to earn interest as well. Not too dramatically, because it's not massive numbers we're talking about here, but 49.5 million. I think if you look at the full year of 2024 when the time comes, or I guess I shouldn't say the full year, the next 4 quarters ahead, I could see them making $200 million. Like, even if operations get to a point where net operations is zero, right? Where on an operating basis they just completely break even, but then they have a total of $200 million in net interest income. I did a little math over here, looking at the forward price to earnings. Again, this is very theoretical. Take this with the utmost grain of salt. So if they had a $200 million net profit over the next 4 quarters, and we're just using rough numbers here, divided by their roughly 426 million shares outstanding, that would give them an EPS, earnings per share, of 47 cents. And then if you take a $25 share price, roughly what we're at now, divided by the EPS of 47 cents, that would give you a forward PE of 53.1. Share price goes down to 20, the forward PE is 42.6. Share price goes up to 30, forward PE is 63.8. Again, not like astonishing numbers, but it's nice now that they're profitable. You can start to use some more metrics. And another one you can look at, and this one's going to be out of date here, is current ratio, current assets to current liabilities. So you generally always want to see this number over 1, very, very generally speaking. And the higher the better, because it just means that they have more current assets versus current liabilities. And if you're not aware, current is less than 12 months and cash is considered a current asset. And this number is definitely going to be updated and be higher. And when you look at, where were we? Price to sales. Where is that in here? But price to sales is roughly 1 right now. Or maybe it's just in the summary. Again, it's based on how much cash they have. Or sorry, price to sales now is about 0.5. Where are we? Okay, can't find it now, of course. Always terrible on this podcast. Hate to see it, but basically you want to, generally speaking, like, compare to some other names, right? Like Walmart and Best Buy aren't the perfect comparisons, but it just gives you like a little bit of perspective. And I want to start to see them become in line with them, at least for the time being, until they make bigger moves. But the more I think about it, also, the trading card business, there's a lot of money to be made there. If they could ultimately start grading trading cards, I do think that's a very, very exciting possibility as well. Valuations are too high. I appreciate they'll do it again. Billions of free cash, can't get any other way easily. Exactly. So I would rather them get cash by raising capital through selling shares, certainly more so than them issuing debt, especially in this high interest rate environment. Valuation's too high for GME to invest in other companies at the moment. Buy some treasuries, wait 6 to 9 months till after elections, then deploy capital. Anthony, not a bad idea. I like where your head's at. GME has so many options. It's supposed now if it falls on Ryan Cohen, what he does or doesn't do next, which of course everyone is waiting for now. Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. After hours, ding dong. WM, what up? They have to release shares after a pop because that's the only time they can get filled super quickly. The system is doing almost all of the HTE buying at that point. Right now, what we are sitting through with this sideways nonsense is the system accounting for all those new shares and buy orders. Once it's done, that part, it will start buying and driving up rapidly. One or both the reasons failure to deliver or gamma squeeze. And one quick thing about failures to deliver, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong if anyone has any more information, but it's important to note when you're looking at that list of failure delivers, those are cumulative. So if there's a day, just using simple numbers, of 1 million failure to delivers, and then the next day there's 1.5 million failure to delivers, it's cumulative. So that might mean the last million never got delivered, right? They didn't resolve it yet. And if that happens, then those million roll to the next day and it becomes 1.5 million. However, they could be satisfied, right? I say satisfied through some kind of complex swap, something in writing call options, and then, oh, we have the shares because we just wrote a call option, right? So now we got the 100 shares. And a lot of funky things, and that's where it really gets mucky and I'm not too familiar, so I'm speaking on it very generally here in terms of like what market makers could do, but all just food for thought. Damn, I'd rather be skiing. Pop it off in the chat. They complete that cycle, they will stop buying and start selling some longs for profit, and the system switches all buyers to dark pools and sells publicly to drive price down. This is also when the system starts to hedge everything, just as it did as well as hedge funds are short doing the same thing. Rinse and repeat. They are stuck in the cycle right now. No, that absolutely makes sense. I mean, this stock for a long period of time has gone through cycles. Like some cycles different than others, but there's always been periods of time where it's an elongated drop and then a little bit of a pop. Elongated, dragged out drop and then a pop. So yeah, I think it's very much so algos at work. And the more and more I read and learn like the actual functionality of the markets and how things really works in like the pipelines, it's crazy. That's all I could say. News from Ryan Cohen or good news or a big buying could spark this as well. Otherwise, it's just a system following algos. As far as I can tell, 3+ years anyways, who freak knows? LOL. Exactly. Now, you're definitely making good points, though. I appreciate this insight. Pretty sure that's what D of V figured out and started using to build this huge position up from so small. Yeah, they're definitely using swaps now. Yeah, no, I think undoubtedly swaps are a part of the equation and definitely part of the, I want to say, like strange activity that you see in the way that GameStop trades. The specifics I couldn't tell you, but when you just look at a situation like Archegos, I know I've referenced this a bunch of times, but I really do think it's important, where they were able to really not report positions as big as they were because they were in custom basket swaps. And when you look at 2008, right, this is where it gets like kind of freaky, where it's like custom, not exactly custom basket swaps, but they were, and see, custom basket swap. And the thing is too, when you look at initially, these weren't custom basket swaps. They were instrument like S&P 500 Trust, emerging markets, S&P 500. And then as they started to get a little bit of trouble, that's where they started to set up the swap baskets with these various different counterparties that are not named in here. So, and then as they got more and more trouble, more and more basket trades, right? Custom basket swaps created. But in 2008, very roughly what happened, we're not going to go through a whole history lesson here, is they just wrapped up the bad bonds, put them in a good one, put them in a better one. Like very simply put, they made bad bonds look good until it just kept pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until everything just kind of. And obviously, it's much more in detail than that, and I would need more information in front of me to really get into it. But crazy. Same way they were hiding loan garbage and swaps in 0708. You said it. Oh, yeah, exactly. What I just said. Great minds think alike, brother. Great minds think alike. But with GameStop and the markets as a whole, everything, you just got to keep learning. You just got to keep learning. And really, what I got to do a better job of, guys, for the channel, you guys, and myself, is just keeping track of more information. I got this cool thing, Obsidian. If you guys are interested or wondering what I'm always using here, where I'm like scrolling around, like I make this stuff myself. Nothing crazy. I just use Canva to make these like margins and net income charts, SG&A, just for reference, like on the stream, and if I want to put out a tweet or whatever the case. But at the money market offerings and just some various notes here. You can do this yourself too. This is called Obsidian. I think it's a pretty cool note-taking app. And then also, if you see here, I have like actual links. Like these are the actual filings of when GameStop issued shares. Like this is just a live link that I linked in of like the times they offer the shares, and it has like the specifics of it. You can see 45 million and then 75 million. So what I got to do a better job of though, guys, is just doing more and more note taking, more and more documenting. And I should really even go back and listen to some of my old streams sometimes, because I'm sure there's things I was thinking then. And sometimes you look back at what you were thinking at a certain period of time, or some notes you had a certain period of time, and you're like, oh wow, like I forgot that that was my feeling at that moment in time. And then it kind of can spark a new idea based on like, oh well, at that time I thought this, and now we're here. So looking back at that and comparing the information I have now, like I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like it helps me get like better perspectives as well. So got to do a better job of documenting and just keeping track of things. And yeah, I got to use this app more. I'm learning more and more about it too. Obsidian, it's pretty cool. And there's also like plugins you could do some various stuff. Because otherwise, like the text is pretty straightforward. There's not like a lot of options besides like bolding it. But and then another thing that I will quickly say is with the GameStop Italian store, like look how nice. Turn off the music, but look how nice this store looks. It looks so clean, so fresh, so welcoming. I would like to see them test this concept in the United States and other parts of Europe in very high population areas. Of course, if you're going to have a store location in like New York City, for example, there's going to be a ton of foot traffic. So the rent is going to be extremely high. So they do have to consider that and then also make sure to be very strategic in where they're placing a store like this. But I would like to see them try this concept in a couple of other stores because look how much product they have. And is it just me, or whenever you go to a GameStop now, every time I go in there, I feel like there's even more product. Like it used to be my local GameStop, relatively small. It was like the whole room would have stuff in it, right? And there's some stuff in the middle. But now there's stuff like literally all the way up. It's like super high ceiling. Now there's stuff like literally all the way up to the ceiling, right? Where like certain things I definitely you need to ask employee. I don't even know how they get it down, right? Or maybe it's just a box and then it's in the back, whatever the case. But I think it would be worth a shot, maybe doing this. But again, I trust in the team. Maybe this isn't the best move right now. Maybe they're still collecting data and now analyzing, getting more information of how they want to go forward potentially with these bigger stores. But just thought I'd quickly share because what I do, guys, throughout the day, I just email stuff to myself and try and go through it on the future streams. Shout out White Rabbit. He's always doing giveaways. This guy's been doing so many giveaways. I don't know if you guys saw Morant's. Morant's also did some giveaways. He did like GameStop Street Talk. He's talking to people like shop GameStop, basically spreading the good word. So yeah, it's just incredible all the different people and I very rarely like to use the word community because I really think it's all individual investors choosing to do what they want with their own money. Like I'm a true believer that everyone has to make their own individual decisions, but there is a community aspect to GameStop. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't. I just like tend to avoid using that word because like, oh, he's just saying like everybody buy in. Oh my God, right? No, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying everyone do whatever you want. You want to trade options, you want to buy shares, you just want to watch the thing, whatever you want to do, right? Everyone's got their own cup of tea, but I just love the memes. You gotta love the memes, right? So, so many good ones. Let me see. Where's my favorite down here? The pet rock when they were saying GameStop's like the pet rock, right, or something like that. This is so accurate. Me, the Motley Fool, forget GameStop. It's so true. It's so true. Any guy can relate to this. Where it's like, bro, what the heck? Why would you do that? Bro, I'll be. It's crazy. Um, where's my favorite down here? Bruh. These memes. This is a classic. Absolute classic by Ronco. Ew, I stepped in shit. BCG. But this one down here, I have to find it. It's so accurate. And oh my god, guys. Everywhere I look, hook, two, spit on that thing. All over the place. It's actually insane. I saw a meme that was so accurate where it's like, the internet hasn't been this united since the Tiger King. Because that is just like such a common meme right now. It's crazy. But where is it? Oh my god, so many memes. Yes, this one is one of them. But there's another one where it's like Roaring Kitty tweets GameStop stock price action, and it's like the Simpsons meme of the girls being like, "Oh," and he's like, "Ah!" Like I can relate to that very much when I'm at work. All right, can't find it. Okay, it's so funny. I love memes, guys. How do you not love memes? How do you not love memes? This is so accurate too. Oh my god, so accurate. Citron. I'm convinced though, guys like Martin Shitterelli, that's what I call him. I know that's not how you say it, and Citron, Andrew Left, like they love the attention, and they don't even care whether it's negative attention or whatever the case. Like they just love that people are like learning their name and talking about them. I truly think, again, just my opinion, but I think they get off to that type of thing. Like there's like, oh yes, everyone's talking about me. I keep trending. Yes. Oh yeah, I'll keep just shitting on GameStop. Ha 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 ha. Right. I don't know. That's my theory, but little observation by Fitzy. Shout out at Sean Fitzy, Triple Z. I'm sure you guys have seen him. I was tweeting out little tidbits about GameStop, but GameStop just finished its 33rd day, straight day with at least 20 million in volume since September 2022. There've only been 37 days total that have topped 20 million. So I would say the stock was relatively illiquid for a while, partly due to DRS and just not as many shares changing hands. Definitely part of why there are more shares trading now is because the shares outstanding increased by like 33, 35%, roughly that number. So that's a factor of it, but it's still pretty interesting that we just consistently have a lot more volume now, right? And I guess probably looking at the daily would be best, but probably this is gonna be more the consistent volume, right? Like 27 million today, right? Or 26, just under. So I'd say probably about 20 million shares traded a day is going to be pretty consistent going forwards if I had to guess. Just a little bit of tidbit of information there. And then this is really interesting. After doing a quick scan, it now appears at the completion of today's share offering. This was from a while back. GameStop now has more cash. Excuse me. GameStop oh my God. GameStop now has more cash at hand than Home Depot, Lowe's, Starbucks, Snowflake, AT&T, ADP, ARM, Palantir, Twilio, Warner Brothers, Zillow, Snap, Palo Alto, Datadog, Lockheed Martin, Pinterest, Adidas, Hewlett Packard, Roblox, Verizon, Delta, OKTA, SMCI, Super Micro Computer, whatever, Roku, Affirm, DoorDash. That's a big list, right? That's a big list. And obviously, every individual company's financial situation is different, and it's not just black and white. Like, oh my God, that makes GameStop automatically better. All these companies, right? Oh yeah, everything's great. No, they still got a long way to go, but it is a very interesting data point that they literally have more cash than all these like monster companies. Like, there's a lot of very commonly known companies on here, and it's pretty crazy. And yeah, super microcomputer, that thing's been on an absolute tear. But yeah, again, just food for thought. Doesn't, I wouldn't look too far into this, but it is a very interesting stat where it's like, wow, they are in a really, really unique situation where they have very loyal following base. Because think about it too, whatever they do next, I'm gonna try it. You're probably gonna try it. You're gonna participate, right? Even when they did the NFT thing, yeah, sure, that didn't work out, and I still had hope that even when they got rid of the marketplace and wound down the wallet, they're still trying to do something with digital assets and games. I still kind of see things going that way, but the challenge I saw with I still see with Web3 gaming is how can you make it so that the average gamer can be playing a Web3 game very simply and truly beginning to own their own assets with simplicity without having to set up a wallet, set up this, do that, just very simply download, buy the game, download, play, and actually be a high quality game. And then on top of it, they actually get to own their own assets. Like, how can you put it into the groundwork of the game, so to speak? But also, people will say "Oh yeah, GameStop hasn't done anything. All they did was try to make an NFT marketplace and it failed." Did you see that dramatically hurt their business? Did that dramatically hurt the bottom line, or did the net income improve? So, yeah, sure, they tried it, didn't work out, but it's a trial and error game of where they're at. They're trying the PSA trading cards right now. I personally think it's going to work out. It seems like it's going pretty well right now. I know myself. I bought a couple. I picked up CJ Stroud. He's on the come up. And then I also got my boy Justin Jefferson. I was hopeful he would be traded to the Steelers. But unfortunately, that was not the case, given that he signed an extension. Also, the Steelers would not be ready to pay him. You would have to pay him an insane amount. He's literally the highest paid receiver, but and unfortunately, only PSA 9s. Not that good. But at the same time, I'm personally trying to ball on a budget. And, obviously, I've been getting ready for this trip to go to Croatia, so that's going to hit my pocket quite a bit. But definitely always browsing once in a while. What other cards we got here? Especially when my $5 Pro coupon comes up. And those of you that don't know, if you're a GameStop Pro member, it's $25 annually, but you get $5 credit to use, or a $5 off coupon every month. So if you use that all 12 times, $60. Wow, I can't even do math today, guys. What's wrong with me? $60 of credit basically for the store. So just some food for thought there, right? Am I bugging? Am I bugging, guys? My brain is just not working right. I also went to bed really late yesterday for some reason. I just could not sleep. I mean, I was watching the game, and that kind of got me fired up. And then I was with some friends, keep hanging out. And then after, I'm like, all right, damn, now I'm hungry. I got to eat again. But yeah, you basically get $60 to spend, $5 per month by spending $25 a year. So even if you're just buying a little something here and there, right? For example, when I just used my $5 coupon for June, I just picked these up, little card sleeves for GameStop. After the pro discount and the $5 off, I literally paid like $1 and change for this. I mean, I was in GameStop with my friend. We were in the area. Like, let's go see how good old GameStop's doing. Didn't really see anything I needed or wanted at that particular time. I was like, all right, pick up these card sleeves because I'll need them. And I do have some cards I do need to throw into some sleeves. The currency ones I recently got. And I've gotten one of each. I got one of Series 1, one of Series 2. So Series 3 just came out. I'm going to have to get one of those next. And that's probably what I'll do, spend my $5 coupon on next month. But if you want to support the company, guys, you don't always have to buy the stock. Shop in the company absolutely supports it. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, and again, this is just a little tidbit here. I wouldn't go, oh my God, they have all this cash. Everything's great. Everything's everything's done, right? No, there's still a lot more work to be done. What they do with that cash is still to be seen. And again, might not be seen for a while because I think they're very patiently waiting until the right opportunity presents itself, or we're in a market crash scenario where things pretty much go on a fire sale. And that's how Warren Buffett's made his living, guys. When you look at the history of Berkshire, his most aggressive purchases have been when the market is in shambles. And in 2008, he also spent like a ton to basically save the banks. Like he very heavily invested in Bank of America and a couple others I can't remember off the top of my head. Lando, thank you for that. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Very, very thankful for that. Much, much appreciated, my friend. Is it outlandish to think GameStop could buy Steam? So, Lando, the thing is, Steam is so massive at this point that I honestly don't think it could happen. The only thing I could see happening is either some kind of partnership or it's a situation where they buy like a stake in Valve, although I don't know if Valve's necessarily raising capital, but that would be an interesting situation if Valve decided like, oh, and I'd have to look in further if maybe Valve is already owned by a parent company or what their financial situation is. But they're, oh, okay, we're raising capital. Theoretically, GameStop could use say just 500 million and then invest, and then they would get maybe convertible debt. So it'd be like a promissory note. There's a lot of different things they could do, right? Because like a promissory note, for example, is if you're like, oh, I'm gonna start a pizza shop, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll personally loan you the money for myself. And you're like, yeah, well, obviously, from my perspective, I'm like, okay, well, I got to see if your pizza shop's gonna work out. I'll loan you, just use simple numbers, $100,000 at a 10% annual rate. That's better than a 5% market rate. And then if you pay it back to me 1 year later, obviously you'd pay back 110,000, and I would make 10% versus 5% just in the money market account. So, with that being the case, they could do some stuff like that. They could do, there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on with private equity, but if it's a private equity firm that is actually raising capital for a particular business that they are believing in and wanting to be a part of, I could see them investing in a game studio or something like that. Like maybe they themselves won't own the game studio, but they would become a partner in it. Uh, they could do some, like if they purchased part of a game studio, right? Let's say there's a smaller game studio on the come up. They're raising capital. GameStop gets in on that, and they get basically a small portion of ownership of that game studio by basically being part of raising the capital. What they could do is then create some kind of partnership where it's like, okay, well, everyone that's a GameStop Pro member would get like a $5 coupon to use on the store, right? Like if it's like a Steam competitor up and coming. I don't have a particular example, but that's kind of more of my thought of where things may go in terms of just moving forward for the company. So Steam itself, I'm not so sure, but using the cash to become part of a gaming studio, like while they may not like own a very large majority, it could be just part of like raising funds or something like that. But that's the beauty in all this. And some people it's scary, or some people on the outside looking in like, how could you say this, right? But to me, the beauty of the situation is they can really be particular in how they choose to use this cash. They don't have to run into anything because, again, so long as operations are break even for the time being, if they can get it where operating loss is no longer a loss, let's say it's just positive 34 million, which given the changes they're making, I don't think that's totally impossible at all. Even if they just break even on operating, they're going to just earn a ton of interest income. And by the way, guys, this number is negative here on the statement of operations because when you have interest paid, it's a positive number, and then it's subtracted out because it's interest paid, interest earned for the company rather, not paying interest on debt. They're earning the interest. It's being added on to the net income. So because it's a subtraction right here, right? Like you're subtracting this from this. When you subtract the negative, you're basically adding it. Just a little more food for thought there, but yes, because Microsoft wants to buy Steam for 17 bill. Damn, yeah. See, that's the thing too. I'm not even sure exactly what Steam is valued at right now. It's crazy too how much Steam has grown over these past several years. And I work with a company that works with like another company that helps raise capital. It's kind of hard to explain, but essentially, like we have indirect clients that I've heard. I don't work on the side of the business. I work with like transferring the money for my job, but I've heard we have like indirect clients that have basically invested in Epic Games and it's come up. So, and I'm sure they've done very, very well for themselves. Let's see, oh damn, got to catch up in the chat. Keep up the great work, Tetron. Thank you, Chad. Thank you. Feeling kind of tired today. Again, it's my own fault. I was watching the game last night. Just didn't sleep well, and then yeah, I don't know. I gotta take better care of myself, guys. I really do. Like, I don't get me wrong. I'm not like doing crazy stuff, but I really have a tendency to just not sleep a lot. Just I'll just drink more coffee. If I don't sleep a lot, I'll just drink more coffee. It'll be fine, right? But I'm not as sharp. I gotta stay sharp up here. It's important. So it's kind of like 2008 and what the shady business they were doing then. Is it finally catching up? Lando, that's the scariest part. When you look at the stuff happening in 2008, like leading up to it, it kind of feels like that stuff has been happening now for years, right? And again, that's very generally speaking. Go make your own determinations on that. Not a financial advisor, but when you just look at how markets function and even like the bank stress tests they implement now, right? Banks are supposed to do a stress test every so often. What like they know when the stress test is, so they can just make the numbers look good at a particular period of time, right? Obviously, it's more complex than that, but it's alarming too because when you're in a recession, you have unemployment and you have average people being hurt. I truly haven't lived through one. I guess technically I have with the pandemic, but 2008, I was like 8, 9 years old, so I didn't really understand it. Like I remember people saying like gas prices are so high, I think it's so crazy right now. And when I was such a naive kid, when they're like, "Oh, gas prices are so high," and you saw it was like $4, 4.50. I was like, 450 doesn't seem like that much to fill up your car. Like, I guess life is just so expensive, so that when you go from like 3 to 450, like that must add up. It's just all adds up. I don't know, adult stuff. Only to get older and realize, I'm like, oh, that's per gallon, not per car. But again, this is when it was 2008. But that's my memory of gas prices being high in 2008. So I truly haven't lived through a dramatic market crash or recession of any kind, but I'm trying to just be mentally ready and always have cash on hand, ready to roll. And as long as blessed to have my job and just keep that through any kind of market crash, that'll certainly help because having cash flow is always important because you always want to just consistently invest because also you don't know when the market crash is going to come, right? It could be today, tomorrow, next year, decade. I don't know. I don't think anybody truly knows. But having said that, I think time in the market is more important than timing the market, right? Like I would rather consistently add to my positions over time by having more, basically creating the length, a greater period of time that I'm in the market, just letting things ride, continue to add as there's any kind of decline, instead of trying to time it perfectly. Okay, right here, I'm gonna buy in to whatever stock or investment of any kind. But with GameStop, it's a different situation. I'm talking to myself as an individual there. With GameStop, they're like, okay, at what point are we going to use this cash and then make the right move? So with that, I feel like that's where you have to time the market more so. Whereas an individual investor, I think just dollar cost averaging is the way, which is pretty much, if you're not familiar, just, hey, I'm going to buy one share of GME every single Friday, whatever the price is. Just buy. And I wasn't doing it on that exact schedule, but anytime, like literally over these past several years, this whole way down, I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick up a few shares today. Oh, just got paid. All right, I'm gonna pick up a few shares. All right, I'm gonna put this $100 to the side, and then throughout the next week, I'm gonna buy a share here. I'm gonna buy a share here. Buy a share here. Right, and that's what I've personally done. And I'll be honest, guys, I haven't bought shares really since right about here. And that's because I've accumulated my position for a while, and I've been in this thing a long time, just letting it ride right now. I'm not saying I'm opposed to buying more shares. Don't get me wrong, but give me a juicy dip and then I'll buy some shares. But as of right now, like I'm good where I'm at, and I'm not saying I won't necessarily buy shares. Like it doesn't have to dip dramatically for me to want to buy more shares. Like I still think, again, it's me personally, this is an attractive price point, and that's again from someone who's held this whole time. So if I was buying up here, why would I not buy here, right? But again, I'm pretty good where I'm at in terms of my share position size and just trying to look at my net worth and everything as a whole. But really, just make the own determination that's best for you. Like it's really important, and I'm learning this more and more over time, to understand your own personal financial situation and where your limits are, or where like the position, the size of position you want to have. To me, you should invest up until the point where it's like, okay, if I put any more in, I'm going to lose sleep. If you're going to lose sleep, then you should not be going that heavy. Like you really have to determine your risk tolerance, because that's also, if you're going to do options, in my opinion, with options, if you're buying options, you should just assume the money's gone. If it works out, fantastic. But if you go in, kind of like when you go to the casino, just assuming, okay, or that's what I do when I go to the casino, at least, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this amount of money, go there, and I'm not a frequent casino goer. Don't get me wrong here. I do really like to play poker, but poker is also at least like player versus player, and I play with my friends. pay like $30 buy-in, so it's super chill. It's literally cheaper for us to hang out, have a poker game. Even if I lose $30, it's cheaper to do that and have some beers with them than go out and have drinks and food these days anyway. So, but regardless, if you're gonna do options, like you gotta have the approach, in my opinion, that okay, this money is as good as gone. It could work out very, very well, but it is very, very high risk, right? So you gotta budget yourself and just know thyself. Like I really think that's so so important. And to me, that's one of the most incredible parts about the whole GameStop journey and people investing in GameStop and learning about investing in markets. There's definitely tons of people out there, maybe even some of you watching this, that first invested in GameStop and now are looking at other investments and thinking about their financial future. Where maybe in the past they just thought like, oh, whatever, like I just do my 401k, okay. And but also for me, and I've definitely seen this across people posting out there, where it's like, oh wait, I should be more frugal because if I'm more frugal and making food at home instead of buying lunch at work, for example, every single day you go to work, oh, I'm going to buy lunch today. Instead, no, all right, I'm going to make a sandwich at home. You save money, and then when you save money, you're like, oh, okay, well now I can take this money I saved and I can put it into a stock I want to invest in. I can put it aside for a trip I have coming up, right? So I feel like this journey has taught people a lot more than just stocks and market mechanics. Also, just how to be better financially, and that's something I maybe not everyone, right? I don't know everyone's exact situation. I can only speak for myself, but as someone who's been interested in finance for a long time and money and just accumulating wealth, I've always kind of had like an eye for that, or like looked out for that kind of stuff, or try to build myself up with those different ideas in mind. But I feel like really once I found something I really liked and believed in, I'm like, okay, like I need to approach this in the best possible way. And this is really my first long-term investment. So those of you that don't know, I first messed around with stocks when I was 16. I set up a brokerage account, joint with my mom. Shout out to her. Pretty much a joint account. I would do like little trades and like basically do all kinds of little things. But prior to GameStop, I was never in a position over a 1 year period of time. But now I really understand, like, to me, there's investing and there's trading. You can do either one, that's fine. But for me, I want to be more of an investor than a trader. Sure, maybe I'll do a little trade here and there, but I want to be more so an investor. So GameStop's really taught me that lesson of what it means to be an investor versus a trader. And again, nothing wrong with being a trader if that's the route you want to go, but it's all about knowing thyself. Because I feel like previously I thought, oh yeah, I'm an investor, but I'm like, wait, I was actually just a trader. And where I was very, very fortunate, right, is I made all the mistakes early. You guys remember BitConnect? You guys remember BitConnect? What was it, like 2017, 2018? I bought a little of that thinking, oh yeah, like this could be something. I lost, right? But luckily, I was literally just a broke high school kid, like a lot of other high school kids. I lost like 50 bucks. It was nothing. And yeah, that sucks. Don't get me wrong. And I feel like a fool looking in hindsight, but I'm very fortunate. And I used to mess with all kinds of options and everything. But I'm very, very fortunate that I made all my mistakes early before I had any significant amount of wealth or capital. I'm definitely not significantly wealthy right now, don't get me wrong. But I definitely have, I'm working full time. Like I finished school, like I'm officially like in my adult life now for a couple of years now. And I'm very fortunate that I made all my silly mistakes when I didn't have a lot of money and I was just working in high school at the local Marshalls, right? And wound up working my way up to be assistant manager. But even then, not the greatest money. I mean, but then I started getting a little money, and I'm like, okay, like this is actually kind of significant now. So let me start to be a little bit smarter about it, right? And you just keep improving little by little by little. And I'm going on a complete tangent here, but this is something I really harp on because I think it's really really important. I talk to other people my age, and there's a lot of people my age that they don't really save. They don't do their 401k. They kind of, oh yeah, I'll just figure it out later. I'm like, no, but it's so important to start this stuff now. And like, oh, I don't want to invest in GameStop. Okay, not saying invest in GameStop. Like, at least do the S&P 500. At least open a high yield savings. Like, I've told people about a high yield savings account. They're like, what? You can earn money on your cash? I'm like, yes. Chase, Bank of America, Citi, Capital One, or I think Capital One is a high yield savings, but a lot of like they rip you off. Like they give you nothing for your savings account. Our parents used to get, or I say our parents, like when I'm talking to people, other people my age, like our parents used to make money on their savings account in their local Bank of America account. That's just not how it works anymore. If you want to earn on your savings account, you want to earn a yield, you got to set up a Marcus account backed by Goldman Sachs or an Ally Bank, an online-based bank, or I believe Capital One is an online-based account. You got to go out of your way to do it. It's not just like your average savings. The people are like, oh, well, I just always use Chase. So that's what I want to do. I'm like, but these other banks give you money just for having money, And on top of it, they are FDIC insured. Like that's the main point of it. And yeah, it's just crazy to me how little like financial education is taught to like younger individuals, and just talking to other people around me like, oh yeah, I'm just saving up. I'm like, but inflation is just burning away your purchasing power. Like, yes, I'm not saying you shouldn't save some cash. Like, I think everyone should have cash on hand, and yeah, earning interest is great, but you do have to invest. Like, in what you want to invest in. Like, oh, I don't know what to invest in. Like, so take some time and figure it out. Like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, yeah, but if you start reading and learning, you can figure out what you're doing. And when you figure out what you're doing, then you could start small and go get better and better and improve, and it goes like, I don't think people realize like how compound interest works. And when I say people, I just mean very generally the public, and it's just so important. And yeah, I've been reading about, finance stocks for a long time, but again, I realize I'm so far from an expert. There's still so much for me to learn, and yeah, I'm just happy to be doing it and kind of documenting here on the stream. So yeah, completely on a tangent there, but it's just that kind of stream. Hydrate. Hydration's so key. This was like 2008. Everyone catching up on it, and it has them super freaked in the media. Yeah, I mean, listen, look at Nvidia. Look at Nvidia's valuation. It's actually insane. It's actually literally insane. Like, again, I get it. They're a growth company. They're making money hand over fist right now. Their products in very high demand. But you have one slightly disappointing quarter, or slight indication that growth's going to slow, and I think this thing comes down a lot. Like, and then in a market crash scenario, it's definitely going to come down a lot. And something my grandpa taught me, because he actually worked on Wall Street straight out of high school. His dad got him a job there. He used to be literally one of the stock boys that would like run the orders back and forth. But one of the first lessons he taught me in stocks, like we were talking about it one day, he's like, I was like, oh yeah, like this S&P's been going up so much, whatever. He's like, yeah. I'm like, what? Isn't that good? He's like, yeah, but just remember, if it can go up that fast, it can come down just as quick. So within a 6 month period since the start of the year, Nvidia's gone, and this is again split adjusted, from 47 all the way to a peak of 140, which means theoretically in the next 6 months it could come all the way back down to this $40-$50 range. Do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily, but it's just a point that, like, if it even look right here, right? Like over the past month, the stock went up like a huge amount. It could fall down just as much, just as quick, for one reason or another. So it's just something to keep in mind when things are going really, and then it also applies when it's going down, right? Like just the same way GameStop could go down a lot, it could come back up just as quick, right? I mean, this isn't the greatest example right here, but see, it's like down, 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 whoop, right? Down, 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 then like, right? I mean, obviously GameStop's, I would say, an anomaly. I don't know why that's my favorite word as of late, but I would say it's an anomaly. It's truly unique and doesn't exactly apply to that, but just, generally, like you look at the SPY and you're like, huh, this thing's been going up pretty consistently for a pretty long time now. And then we even saw it in like 2002, right, where we had a 2022, where we have a bit of a market crash where from 2020, 2021 up until the start of 2022, everything was just kind of up, 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 up. And then we had a pretty strong move down. I mean, we peaked at 478, had a low of roughly 350, and this is from January 2022 to October. That's only in like a 10-month span. Or you could even go back here within 6 months. It pretty much dropped like 25% plus. So by definition, I believe that was technically a recession, but that would happen. Just fire up the money printer, we're good, right? And back to the forever bull market for the S&P. And it looks like we're kind of setting up for, we got to pull back at some point, right? And a little bit into the year, I thought, okay, here it is. We were due for this. Nope, we're good. Nvidia's just going to keep pushing the market higher. GB scamming hours rolling. Oh, yeah, Patrick, you know what's up. Fake trading hours, or whatever you want to call it, the Robinhood hours. DFE gave hedge funds a template to stop their naked short stock destruction system. We'll see if someone else big follows it. That would be crazy. Yeah, no, that would be crazy too, because at a certain point, this is the thing too. Everyone that wants to bet against it, fine. Keep betting against it, keep shorting it, keep buying puts, whatever anyone out there wants to do, right? You can bet against GameStop in any which way. Sure, go ahead. Nobody's going to stop you. But when the company does something to make a big move and really gets back on track where they're growing revenue and subsequently growing the net income, there's going to be other institutions out there that want to purchase shares because they see the opportunity and the upside. So when that happens, that's really where I think things really start to swing into motion, and then we get down the path of them entering the S&P 500, which I think will be very, very significant, because then all of a sudden tons of funds have to automatically purchase GameStop shares simply because they're in the S&P 500. I mean, obviously for particular ETFs, not just every fund out there, but post pre-market and 99% system, not traders or hedge funds, etc. Exactly. Most of it going on right now is the system flushing dark pool buys. I could definitely see that. Yeah, and when you listen to that one clip of Gary Gensler, he basically says in a clip, I have it saved somewhere, but on CNBC, he's doing like an interview, and it's like, yeah, 90% of retail trades go through a dark pool. And it's like, huh? What? Also, go right now, go backwards to go forwards. Yep, it's true. That's something Larry Chang did say on his something along those lines, right? Like he basically elaborated. It's a really good watch. I would honestly listen to it. You don't have to watch it. Like you could, I listened to it on my car ride home during the live stream. So these were his three tweets. You know, overvalued top line growth, undervalued top line growth rate growth, and then consistency seems to be highly underrated. I really like how he talked about consistency too. I'll talk about this in a minute. It deserves consideration as the preeminent superpower. Consistency seems to be the foundation of truly superior outcomes. Moderate strengths applied consistently, routinely, outperforms elite strengths applied sporadically. Yeah, being consistent in this world is so key. Look at a guy like Tom Brady, for example. He was so consistent for so long with his diet, his practicing, his scheduling, everything, right? Like consistent. In my opinion, the greatest quarterback of all time. Sure, that could be arguable, but consistency is so key. And in oh my God, Larry's live stream, something he did say, where he's like, I've never had someone say this in an interview, and I've interviewed hundreds of people, but now people will probably say it because I just said it right now. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this in a future interview. You know, when you're doing an interview and they're like, what's your greatest strength? Great answer. Consistency. I'm consistent in my work. I'm consistent in getting things done. I'm consistent in operating efficiently, like whatever the case, right? You can elaborate however you want. But next time you get that question in an interview, I think that's a great answer. Consistency. And it's true though. It's true. Like, and if you're a business hiring someone, isn't that the exact answer you'd want to hear? Like, okay, yeah, damn. We want someone who's going to consistently fill this role for us and accomplish this job on a consistent basis, right? So it makes a lot of sense as an answer to that question, and then also kind of just gives you an insight of how they hire there at Volition, not GameStop specifically, but again, just gives you like insight of one, just general business knowledge and how Larry Chang thinks. And I think it's a very good tweet here. And when you elaborate on it more, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this is pretty neat stuff and pretty true. And the third one, two buckets, inefficient spend today, two transformative opportunities tomorrow. Take capital out of the first and move it into the second. Cutting spend today isn't about not investing in growth. It's about building a capital base to invest in better opportunities for tomorrow. And again, to be clear, this isn't just specifically about GameStop. I think it applies to GameStop in some senses, some of the different stuff he puts out, but also he's just talking about general business knowledge. And as someone who's interested in business, I do appreciate it very much and like hearing what he has to say, because clearly he's done very well for himself. Volition's done very well. They were the first to invest in Chewy when no one else would, and obviously that worked out very good for them. And looking at some other companies invested, I'm like, huh, they've done pretty well. And I'm pretty sure he said during the live stream that his biggest missed investment opportunity was Facebook. Like he actually had an opportunity to invest in Facebook relatively early on, and he met with like Mark Zuckerberg and the other co-founder. I forgot his name off the top of my head, and they didn't even have a car at the time because they were college students. Remember, Facebook was started in the dorm room, so it's really bad. And if they weren't consistent, right? A lot of college kids, and I can know when I was in college, I wasn't consistent. If they weren't consistent, would Facebook be here today, or would there be, I don't know, GameStop book, right? No, I'm just kidding. But who knows what the social media popular platforms would be? I don't know. Damn it, I think I gotta wrap it up, guys. I don't know why I'm not too sharp today. Well, I do know why. I didn't sleep enough. I'm slacking, but Keep the great work. Thank you. So who drew the cycles on the Lego building on the GameStop Twitter feed years ago? That's a good question, Patrick. Yeah, I forgot about that. The little it was like people were like, oh, it's an Easter egg. It's like a stock chart on the side of the wall, right? I don't know. I try not to think too hard into like their tweets or Ryan Cohen's tweets or anything like that, but it's fun. It's fun to speculate. I really hope Ryan Cohen could transform Jimmy into something big. He seems like the right guy for the job so far. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I absolutely hope he does too. And I think it's going to take time, but if there's anyone who could do it, I think it's him. Honestly, if you're able to outsmart and compete with Amazon in the pet industry through what they did, I think that anything's possible. Now, of course, it's not exactly the same. It's not going to be that easy. Like, oh yeah, I just need to do good. Yay, everything's fine. No, and this is a different scenario too. He started Chewy from the ground up, so he was able to build the culture, establish things. With GameStop, he came in, acquired majority control, and had to make major changes to shift the culture and just how things operated as a whole. And that's a multi-year process. When you start something from the ground up, you can set the tone from day one of how you want things to be. When you walk in somewhere and you're the new boss, essentially, not everyone's gonna immediately, oh, okay, yeah, great, we're all gonna do that now, right? No, people are used to the way things were, right, or the way things are, so to speak. So we saw that with some of the new people that were hired, right? Nir Patel, um, Jada, or I don't know, can't remember her name off the top of my head, right? The other executive who got let go not too long ago, or maybe this was a little while back at this point, but some other executives that have come and gone, and interests don't always align, or maybe they find a new opportunity, or whatever the case. But ultimately, like, it's so much harder to establish that culture and how you want things to operate when you didn't build it from the ground up. You come in and then have to make changes. Like, that's a very, very challenging process. So I'm just, whenever they're ready, they can make the big move, and I think it'll come sooner than later. But could be a little bit of time. That's all right. Wendy, what up? Thanks for being here. People in the industry won't admit they're long GME. LOL. Memes are one of the best parts of all this. So exactly. Yes, for real. Who doesn't love memes? Who doesn't love memes? It's a sideshow. Finally got because I can. What up? What up? Finally got my PSA 10 Pokemon card and currency cards Smith Season 3 from GameStop. Nice. Awesome. Happy to hear that. If GameStop could somehow come into agreement of ownership or part ownership of Valve Steam, that would be crazy. Yeah, Lando, listen. Definitely, it would be tough, but it would be epic. It would be epic. Nobody's really selling shares. Take the system a long time to try and find the shares to free up, and the FTD process, failure to deliver processing, not small companies either. Anything I can do to help them succeed, pretty much. Exactly. My local GameStop between Jimmy John's and Starbucks had more traffic than both combined at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Hey, love to see it, right? Love to see it. My only knock on Morantz is he's not into memes. Hey, listen, memes aren't for everyone. That's all right. Cause like, for me, it's tough. It's like, oh damn, the chat's refreshing so quick. It's like I like to post memes and post stuff for fun, but at the same time, like I'm trying to keep like a serious face to the channel. You know what I mean? So like sometimes I struggle with that. I'm like, I'm trying to walk the fine line where I'm like just posting memes for fun, but I don't want people who like first find my page to be like, this guy's name is Tetron Invest, and he's talking about stocks, and he's trying to explain economic stuff and talk about these various things, but he's posting these corny ass memes, right? So like, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think very hard about it, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna be myself. I feel like posting a meme. I think this is good. Great. Why don't I just post information today? That's what I'm gonna do, right? That's what it's one of those like you think and you think and you think, and then you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna do what I think is best. Most of those have dead too. It's true. The other stocks, yeah, Microsoft wants to buy Steam. Oh, interesting. Microsoft wants to buy Steam for 16 to 17 billion. Just rumors. Same number. I had to hard to sleep when GME's around. Oh, yeah, no, exactly. It's true. Especially when it was going nuts this past couple of weeks, guys. Like some of these days back here, very little sleep. Very. This day, I stayed up late because I was excited, and I think I was even streaming or whatever the case. I woke up and I was like, "Whoa, what the heck?" I was like, "I'm working from home today. I'm firing up an emergency stream," and I literally streamed from like 8 a.m. to 9, like literally right up until I clocked in from work. And then like 2 minutes later, I'm like, "Hello, thank you for calling. How can I help you?" Lived through all last 4 recessions and last 100 predicted recessions. Yeah, Patrick, you're bringing up a great point. Of people say Michael Burry always calls a recession, right? But did you know he's predicted 17 of the last 4 recessions? And what that means is he's always calling for a recession, right? And yeah, sure, he's nailed it. He absolutely nailed it in 2008. Don't get me wrong, but and he's identified certain things at certain times, but he's also always said, "Oh, market crash, market crash, market crash," right? And it just goes to show Nobody's a wizard with this stuff. Nobody truly actually always knows. Yeah, he got it right in 2008, and it was a great call, but definitely plenty of things he hasn't got right since then, and I'm sure before that. I'm just talking about selling it. I use options to trade with. Definitely don't follow someone else. Everyone's different size, pressure. Only do what you're prepared for. Exactly, exactly, man. That is exactly the way to go about it. If it's very easy when you see like some whales out there, like people purchasing massive amounts of shares. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's a lot. And like again, I'm 23, about to turn 24 in 2 days. Pretty crazy. Um, Time's flying, but I'm still, building myself up, like accumulating my wealth, still trying to, get myself situated for bright future ahead, ideally. So it takes time, right? It takes time. Whereas people have, work. That's the thing too. I've only worked, like I would say, like a legit job for 2.5 years now, and also I pay for my school for the most part. So yeah, it's and the only interest I have to pay, right? I would consider good debt because I only have one student loan left, and it's not a lot at all. It's a government-based loan. The interest rate is 2.5%. I could pay it off tomorrow. Like I have enough cash on hand. I always like to consider myself just like GameStop. It's a business, right? If you think of yourself like a business, your liabilities and your assets, your cash on hand, you want to kind of think about that stuff. My cash on hand, right? The Tetron cash on hand, you could say, or my name's Noah, so you say Noah's cash on hand. Pretty much my cash on hand, I could pay off my debt immediately. But I'm like, wait, I can earn 5% in a high yield savings, right? Roughly. And then the debt is accumulating interest at a 2.5% rate. So unless we get to a situation where the high yield savings rate drops below 2.5%, I'm going to just keep paying off the debt very slowly and just accumulate more interest on the cash than the interest rate I'm paying on the debt. So I'm kind of like keeping the difference of 2.5. It's not that dramatic, right? But I used to have like a private student loan through Discover. That was like a rate of 10%, 11%. And then I realized this stuff. I'm like, wait, I gotta get rid of this right away, right? And I was very fortunate, getting a job right out of school. Literally, like the week after I finished school, I started this job. And funny enough, at that time, I was really just helping my girlfriend look for jobs because she was looking for one, and I was like, yeah, I'm just finishing school, then I'll apply. Like, but I saw the job I have now listed, and I was like, I'm gonna actually try for them. I'll apply to this one myself. I'll keep sending her the other ones, but this one sounds more like up my alley. She's more like marketing and stuff. This one sounds more up my alley, so I'm gonna apply for this one and then I'll just keep sending her the other ones, and then I'll apply to more like once I actually finish school. But what, lucky enough, they hired me. Everything was good. Still here today. They're very chill. So, and I feel appreciated there, which I feel like is hard to find in a career. So I don't know, not to say I'll be there forever, but yeah, so much rambling today, guys. Sorry. I tend to do that. Those of you that come here though, know that's how I roll. Money and risk management is the key to trading success and a really well life in general, in my opinion. Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen it. The more I read about it and the more I talk to people, I try and get an understanding where people come from, what they've been through, learn from their experiences. I don't always have to experience everything on my own to learn it. Yeah, I try and just take it all in and realize like your financial well-being is so important, and then also just the number one thing people stress about, people argue about is money, right? So if you have more of it, it's not that black and white, right? But if you have more, you have less stress and worries in other aspects of your life, right? And I would rather worry about it now in a sense, so that in the future I don't have to worry about it as much, right? I can worry about more about things like taking care of kids, like having good life experiences, right? Things like that. But I owe everything I have in the GME, big brain. Hey, XY, listen, everyone's got to make their own individual decisions. I wish you the best of luck, but of course, never invest in more than you can afford to lose. But you might be trolling, but that's all right. Did your dearest in me? My dearest will die with me. Hey, I respect it, Nathaniel. I respect it. Don't get me wrong. Great approach, bro, and you are still very young still. Kudos. Thank you, D. Thank you. Yeah, listen, I'm trying to keep being better and better. That's all you can do, right? Lots of YOLOs out there. It is what it is. People can do what they can. I've been trading since 2009. Otherwise, I probably would have YOLO'd too. LOL. Yeah, no, exactly. And for me, I'm lucky enough going into GameStop. I had enough experience where, like, okay, I'm not just going to throw everything I have. So I would have been, in hindsight, it would have kind of sucked to really go all in, like up here, right? And then not really be able to accumulate this whole way. So, but again, everyone's got to learn one way or another. So, I'm old. You did not used to be able to just buy a share for no cost. When the cost of share was $5, that was amazing. They hit market maker enabled today's trader. It's true, and Robinhood really changed the game. When I very first started trading, like very briefly, like I remember my first brokerage account was Scottrade, I don't know if anyone remembers that. And then they got acquired by TD Ameritrade, and obviously now TD Ameritrade is part of Schwab. So these institutions, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger over time because they just swallow up the smaller ones, right? And even like E-Trade now is owned by Morgan Stanley. So with that, originally it was like $7 to place a trade, $5 to place a trade, but Robinhood really changed the game, and that's why they were the cool kids on the block for a while. They were the only ones with $0, and they changed the game so much so that all the other brokers, like I remember, like in a 1 week span of time, all decided suddenly, like, all right, you know what? We're getting rid of trading fees because Robinhood's taking away our market share. But then obviously up here, my opinion of Robinhood changed very much so when they decided, no more buying. Yep, sorry. I mean, they weren't the only ones, right? But also YOLO on my cash in GME, but also a lot of money I would have wasted went to GME, so it taught me to save. Feels great. Yeah, exactly, D. Exactly. I think a lot of people, the spot a lot of people come from, like, oh well, I would have just blown this money at the bar this weekend, but instead I decided like I'm just gonna have like a drink or two, and then I could buy one or two more GME shares, right? So I think that's a good aspect of it. Want to average out a bit with the rest. Biggie is right. I think this would be the time to grab some. We'll see tomorrow. Hey, listen. At the end of the day, for me, it doesn't matter what happens tomorrow. I'm still going to be here the following day in terms of holding my shares. Unless we go to 100 gazillion trillion dollars, then maybe not. But again, it's all about knowing thyself. Know about thyself. Got extra 100 shares in the last 2 weeks. Nice. Dividends or something, high yield something. Yeah. D fucking value. Now, if you knew DD, you wouldn't recommend anyone buying the S&P. GME's to play. Yeah, no, Nathaniel, I see what you're saying, and don't get me wrong. Like, in terms of the prophecy, I put it like this, right? The prophecy foretold that it's going to be a market crash where GameStop goes up a lot, and but the thing is too, average people get hurt. Average people get hurt, right? So that's the unfortunate part. But you always want some of your money earning its own money and make it bigger and bigger over time. Eventually, your money makes all the money you need. Exactly. Hey, what's up? What up? What's up, Bit? Connect. Yeah, Joseph. Yeah, exactly. That guy. So cringe. I can't believe I fell for that nonsense. But again, I was young, so keep up the great work, Tetron. Most may not say it, but we see you for real. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I always really try and keep it real with you guys. Like I'm not here to sell like hopium or be like, oh my god, this, oh my god, that. Like I have no interest in doing that, to be perfectly clear. So I appreciate the kind words. Video Insider's selling like crazy. For real, dude. Yeah, it's the most they've ever sold in a long time. If you don't know dividend compounding, go use a dividend reinvestment calculator and see what happened by year 20. The sooner you start, the better. It takes time to build a compound. Exactly. No, for real. You're absolutely right. Nvidia is where they're pulling the liquidity from. Yeah, it makes sense to deal with the GME problem. Not impossible, Nathaniel. Definitely not impossible. What up, homies? Hey, Tetron. Ben, what up, what up? Thanks for popping in. RCO didn't even Ryan Cohen didn't even sell during the January 21 crazy sneeze. Think about that. Ryan Cohen sees monster value. Yeah, that's absolutely right. He could have very easily sold, moved on. Instead, he dug himself deeper, so to speak. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but he's bought shares on two different occasions post January 2021. And on top of it, made himself the CEO beyond just being the chairman. And by the way, zero in compensation, strictly just riding with his own capital invested in the company. Jimmy play is huge. Don't get me wrong, Nathaniel. I absolutely think so. Faster if you could start with more money, but the point is small amounts over a long time, 15, 30 years gets exponential. No, you're absolutely right. I definitely recommend that to everyone. Go use a compound interest calculator or dividend reinvestment calculator, and it just shows you the value of just consistently adding and reinvesting. Despite no NVIDIA, only GME. Fair enough. Probably right there. NVIDIA is totally round tripping. Yeah, no, listen, Michael. I think NVIDIA is due to drop off. Like, it's crazy how long this thing has gone up. Like, at least a bit of a drop off, right? It's just a forever bull market. Like, it's crazy. That's what I've been calling it. I'll buy NVIDIA when it hits $5. That's even possible, but it remains to be seen if it really can be an infinite cycle. It'll break or they'll be forced to cover eventually. Exactly, at some point or another. So merger and acquisitions coming. The Ryan Cohen buy yet? So Ben, no Ryan Cohen buys as of now. Some are speculating that's what we saw today. It's not impossible. Right, that could be it right here. Potentially, maybe. Maybe we'd find out like tomorrow after hours, potentially. But I don't think it's impossible. He buys a little bit more shares just to further show his vote of confidence in the company. But I was saying earlier where it's like, even if he doesn't buy more shares, Just the fact he hasn't sold any this entire time and he's working there for $0 in compensation, zero in shares being granted to him, just shows his belief in himself. That's how I see it, at least. When it crashes, Jimmy and holders cash and stock get rich. It will bring the market recovery. Yeah, D, that's the thing too. When the market crashes, GameStop will be in a position to acquire other companies, and then on top of it, they're in a spot where they can really determine what they want to do to go forwards. You'll see the banks are 168 trillion in the derivative market. They're about to collapse. The entire market's going to implode, and GME is going to skyrocket. Yeah, Nathaniel. You know the craziest part? You know what's probably going to happen? They're going to blame. This is what, again, with the prophecy foretold, right? I mean, that's just a fun way to put it, but where the old DD says is what I'm basically saying, that there's going to be a market crash. And again, this is what the old due diligence says, not me. Make your own opinion. But it says like, okay, well the market's going to crash, GameStop's going to go up and up and up, and the media, like they've done this whole time, is going to point their finger and say, those GameStop shareholders, it's their fault the market's crashing. They did this. They're the reason your retirement portfolio is getting screwed. They're the reason that this is happening. If they just didn't like that stock, oh my God. But they'll obviously say it in a deceiving way because that's what mainstream financial media does, right? So that's the most unfortunate part, that average people are going to get hurt that have absolutely nothing to do with GameStop, or just absolutely nothing to do with the shenanigans of those making the markets and betting so heavily with derivatives. And when you read about what the DCCC is and just markets as a whole, don't get me wrong, I agree with you guys that it's literally, and how crazy the derivative market is, it's literally just numbers on a screen. It's really just numbers on a screen. And I don't know, that Berkshire glitch, they say it's just a glitch, right? But very, very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. That's all I can say. So, man, you're way ahead in your knowledge about markets. You're way ahead of where most start. Yeah, listen, bro. I'm very, very fortunate to have the knowledge I do, and again, I'm very understanding that there's still a lot more for me to learn. I'm not by any means even close to any kind of expert or anything to that effect, but I'm very fortunate to have the knowledge I have at this point in time at my current age. And then I feel like 10 years from now, like, maybe I'll be close to expert. Maybe, but you can follow me along on this journey. I'll be doing live streams the whole way, hopefully. So, hello, Tetron. Been watching your videos as you're on notifications. Thank you, Groove. Thank you. Appreciate that. But I haven't seen the last few lives because of work. Glad to be here. It's all good, brother. It's all good. Listen, I get it. People are busy. Whether you spend a little bit of time with me, a lot of it, I appreciate you all very, very much. It's tough. I know. It's tough to keep up with things, especially if you're on the grind, you're working. I absolutely respect that. And I got to do more. I got to do more videos. I don't know why. That was originally my bread and butter. That's what I used to do, videos. And I transitioned to streaming, and I've kind of moved away from the videos. So I got to get back into doing the videos. Like, again, those of you who may missed it, I said a couple times, but I'm going to be in Croatia for a couple weeks. So really, the first half of July, not going to be really posting much. So stay tuned. The second half of July, going to be come back strong on the grind. How old's me? How old's he? If you're referencing me, 23 going on 24. We'll crash when we go to war with Russia or Ukraine, and the GM will skyrocket as the world burns. LOL. Yeah, no, Ben, that's the thing. Like, we got all kinds of things going on, right? All kinds of like foreign affairs heating up. We got money just being printed. We have high interest rates that haven't been cut yet, and yet the market's still just raging on like nobody's business, right? It's truly unprecedented time. It's been 20s. Yeah, to me other way. Yeah, he was a kid in 2008. Yeah, no, it's true. 38 in 2009, 2008. Oh, damn, bro, respect. Boomer alert. Just catching up. And Brady went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl. Chang helps create winning cultures in more than just one team. Very true, Guru. Very true. Damn, I'm so far behind the chat. My bad, guys. Turned 30 May, or let's see, you guys seem to learn the stuff when you're young, and it gets harder the older you get. Wait, what is it? You guys learn the stuff when you're young, and can it gets harder the older you get? Makes sense. Tetron wasn't born yet, was he? Yeah, no, 2000, the tech crash. I was basically born during the .com bubble, so reading about it, I'm like, huh, that's very fascinating. This is literally like before I even existed on this earth. And it was also reading about like Rule 204, the electronic record keeping by investment companies and investment advisors, and this talks about a little bit of the failure delivers. And I was maybe going to talk about this, but I've kind of been just ranting away here. Crazy. Issue date, May 24, 2001. Effective date, a week later, May 31st, 2001. I was literally 1 year old when this came out, right? Or not even, because my birthday is June 27th. I was born June 27th, 2000. So I was about to turn 1 years old when this came out. Kind of crazy to think that since I've been born, it's always been numbers on a screen. Consistency is one of the keys to long-term trading success. Requires strong discipline. Absolutely, absolutely, and anything, yeah. Consistency in general is so important. Damn. All right, keep going here. Larry Chang started talking about consistency from the beginning of his first live stream. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see if he does more live streams. Technically, Facebook was probably created by DARPA. Larry Chang's enjoying his new celebrity. Yeah, no, Larry Chang seems like such like a homie. Honestly, he just seems so chill. He's like, like listen, business, business. I'm a wordsmith. Um, what up? Like, lots of hedge fund plants are on the board. Yeah, no, prior to GameStop's new board of directors, the old board of directors, you look at some of their connections, it's like, interesting. It kind of makes sense why you guys decided you want a private jet, right? Started running before GME today. I'm 24, trying to get better with consistency. Facebook point was a good one. Yeah, Groove. Hey, listen, we're pretty much around the same age, brother. So I'm about to turn 24 in 2 days. So yeah, we just got to keep grinding, man. We got such a long way to go. Got to keep grinding. Mercury's meme can be hard to figure out sometimes. Yeah, it's like fun to try and decode them, but I don't try and think too hard about it at the same time. See, what's up, Alico? Right? Is this how you say it? Alico, yeah, what up? Thanks for being here. Ice Brow Super Song sees YouTube channels. I'll just trying to figure out the memes. Exactly, yeah, exactly. Will Ken Griffin actually go to jail? Ready Player 259? Honestly, I don't think so unless something very dramatic happens. The truth is, there has to be there has to be some very clear evidence that there's some really shady crap going on. And that's number one. And number two, listen, I don't like to talk, too much about like individual like firms or anything like that, but they all, it's they're all in bed together. It's not like I don't think they get on the phone like this, like, hello, yeah, okay, we're all shorting GameStop today, right? Yeah, cool, okay, yeah, great, bye. Like, no, I don't think it's like that. I think it's just like, we see they're betting against this company. We should also do the same. Hey, wait, we should also do the same. Hey, wait, we should also do the same, right? Like, I think people say like, oh yeah, like it's all conspiracies, right? They don't actually get on a meeting and do it together, but you don't need like a meeting to necessarily take place and all these people to be talking. Like I forgot how it was put once, and it made a lot of sense to me. Where it's like something to the effect of, if you see something happening, and then hey, if I just jump on this bandwagon, I will also benefit in some shape or form from it. You don't necessarily need like direct collusion of like, hey, should we do this? Should we do this? Should we do that? And I think that's kind of what it is with GameStop, in my opinion, at least. Birthday Tetron, thank you, sir. Thank you. Like I said, I was gonna stream Thursday, but I don't know. I might be doing something, so I might have to do another one tomorrow. We'll see. What do you think about Fattel? I'm not even sure about that, Alika. I'll humor you real quick. Let me see. What do we got here? Probably not interested though, if we're being honest. Fattel, never heard of it. Fuel Tech. I don't know. Just the fact it's $1 alone. Listen, I'll be honest with you, brother. The thing is, I've seen so many names come and go of, this is the next play, this is the next GameStop, this is the next this, the next that, and unfortunately, it's usually a pump and dump. I hate to break it. I mean, listen, surely maybe there's an investment opportunity there, but I don't know anything about that company, to be honest with you. It's only changed their tune about options. I see. Oh yeah, Ben, that's a good point. Supersonic is questionable sometimes. Use discrete. Can't even talk at this point. I think it's almost time to wrap it up. I'm getting tired, guys. But listen, with Superstonk, or even X, right? You should always use your discretion. I think that's the word. Yeah, always use your discretion and try and just double check things and really read things and understand. Don't just like, oh my god, like whatever pops on my feed, right? If you're on this list, shout out to you, Jimmy Elitis, right? See, this is fine. This is funny to me. But where do we have, right? So I don't know. This is a good list, right? So there's not really people posting like a bunch of nonsense. But you might see like, okay, well this is not that, but I don't know, something like, okay, well Rivian calls, someone got huge contracts. Like, okay, like maybe you want to look into it more. Like, why is it? Oh, not like, oh my god, I'm just gonna buy Rivian, right? Like, it's not a great example, but I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. Like, you should use your discretion and always just try and really in-depthly think, okay, why is this person saying this? What could this mean? Where did they get this information from? Can I check it myself? Like, you want to kind of go through these things. Suddenly changed their tune about options. Yeah, no, it is interesting, Ben, where there's kind of been a shift. Suddenly, like, oh yeah, okay, options are fine, but for a long time, it's like options are bad, right? And I think at this point, I just think of it as like, everyone's got to do whatever they think, right? Everyone's got to do what they want at the end of the day. You want to do options? Great. You don't want to do options? Fine. Like, just pick what's best for you. We will know a recession is imminent the moment Kramer says the market's as strong as it's ever been. Trinidad, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Reverse Kramer's pretty strong. Use SEM or PNNT to collect 11 to 13% dividend yield per month. Reinvest and build or increase your monthly return. Rinse and repeat until you have the capital or monthly you want. These are not growth stocks. Quick, pretty safe bet to generate income or build capital. Both are BDCs, by the way, business development companies. Looking to it. Interesting. Yeah, no, I'll check it out. I'm always interested in reading about other companies too. That's the thing. Even if you just hold GameStop, that's totally fine. But I still recommend anyone like read other companies' financials and what's going on with other companies and how they operate just to get perspective. Like I think that's so important just to get perspective and understanding of okay, well this is why GameStop reports this like this. It's because this is a uniform thing or oh, this is kind of different than some of the other companies I've read about. Why would GameStop put this piece of information, right? You can kind of go through and analyze this type of stuff. Warren Buffett said sell GME. Warren Buffett said sell. Pal Joey, is that so? Is that so? Show me the link. Show me the link where it said that. Warren Buffett said, sell GME now. Warren Buffett, sell GME. Interesting. Okay. It smells chilly in here. It does. I had Scott Trade account in 2009. Yeah, no, listen, it was the closest one to me. I was like, all right, I'll try it. I canceled my E-Trade and moved to Fidelity. Ben, yeah, I don't blame you. Screw E-Trade. And, like, you know how I said I do transfers in my job? Even before this, I didn't like E-Trade because they suck at doing transfers. And that's what I work in, like, doing, like, transferring money. So slow, so impossible to get in touch with them. Like, oh my god, I thought they're worse now. Like they weren't the greatest, but they weren't the worst when they were on their own. Now that they're part of Morgan Stanley, oh, terrible. Like even though Morgan Stanley acquired them a couple years back, it wasn't until very recently where like they fully merged it and it became like if you go on E-Trade's website now, it's like E-Trade by Morgan Stanley, something like that. So moved to Fidelity. What's up, Tetron? How's your week? X1, what up? What up? Dude, I'm pretty tired right now, but rocking and rolling. Can't complain. About to go on vacation next week, so I just got to grind out this week. Cinemark is better than AMC. C12, I think you're right. Listen, that's the thing, too. My friend said to me today, he's like, why do you hate the movies so much? I'm like, brother, I don't hate the movies. I just hate AMC's management and how they've gone about things because there's nothing wrong with the movies. I don't have a personal vendetta against the movies, but I hate how they force associate with GameStop and then the board just runs the company to the ground and doesn't do anything to improve it. Think of the teacher pensions. Yeah, exactly. Just innocent people getting hurt from nonsense taking place. Nvidia, GME. All right, BM, okay. Never time the markets. The market can crash tomorrow or 10 years from now. Agent Film, I think you're absolutely right. Thanks for being here. Help me explain one thing. Jellybean88, what up? Superstonk emphasized the narrative was DRS. So does everyone feel Ryan Cohen added the very shares to the float people tirelessly DRS for 3 years? Is this moving the goalposts? Jellybean, yeah, I've kind of seen this idea thrown around, and it's a fair topic to bring up. The thing is, right? It's like I've been thinking about this a little bit on the side, like not too much. I'm kind of like at this point, it is what it is. Like because with DRS, it truly is the only way. And this is always a hot topic for debate, right? Like when you read and understand what the depository trust company is, depository clearing corporation, and the NSCC under it, and then they all have like when you have an account at Schwab, if you're transferring from Fidelity to Schwab, for example, you go to Schwab, you say, I want you to pull my shares from Fidelity. You fill out your Schwab transfer request. You say, okay, I'm moving 100 shares of GME from Fidelity account number this, to my Schwab account here. Schwab takes your request, goes to Fidelity, and they initiate something called an ACAT transfer. They use the ACAT system to transfer the funds. And basically, they're able to quickly move it over like this because they do it through the ACAT system, which is created by the NSCC, National Securities Clearing Corporation, which is owned by the DTC, Depository Clearing Corporation. And then they essentially use a DTC reference number to, like when they send it over, to send it through that ACAT system. So every single public company, right, or any brokerage that's allowing ownership of public securities has a DTC reference number. And when I send my request to Schwab, and then they send it over to Fidelity, they include their delivery instructions of how to send the shares, which includes the DTC control number. When you're going to computer share, you're doing something called a non-ACAT transfer. Then you go to Fidelity. Okay, hey, send my shares to computer share there. Okay, they send them to computer share in the name of book, right? Because it's a non-ACAT transfer. So when your shares are at a brokerage, it's technically in the name of Seed & Co. And then when your shares are in ComputerShare, it's directly registered in your name. So, having said all that, is DRS good or bad, right? That is always kind of the theory. But if you truly want to own your shares and have full access to them, that ComputerShare is really genuinely the only way. But at the same time, then you look at like some of the technical issues ComputerShare has. Another complaint is how out of date their technology is. And that is slightly concerning, but at the same time, if you were just a long-term holder and you truly want the share in your name, truly don't want it to be borrowed against, that's really the only way you can technically have that. Otherwise, it is vulnerable to the DTC in a sense. But at the same time, if you're using a giant broker like Fidelity, like they're ginormous, so are they really going to screw over people? I don't know, right? I'm not here to predict the future, but it's a fair argument that maybe I don't know. I don't think they necessarily issued shares just strictly because of the DRS situation, but I am noticing now, the stock is definitely more liquid, right? We see just a lot more shares trading each day. And then when it's less liquid, right, it's easy for the stock to move in one direction or another. So some say like it was actually hurting GameStop, but I don't know. I just think of it at this point, like at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you, and it's something I've just really formed the opinion of. And if you were like, okay, I want my shares directly registered in my name, that's important to me. You DRS. If you're like, no, I want to just keep accumulating shares. I want to have them in the brokerage. Fine, that's okay. Also for me, I have both. Right, mostly my IRA shares are at a brokerage. Mostly my non-IRA shares are a ComputerShare. Right, but again, that's just me. What do you think they're going to do with the 4 billion, Samuel? I honestly think they're going to wait for a market crash scenario or an excellent opportunity to present itself, and then make an acquisition or make an investment into other companies in some shape or form. But I don't think they're going to rush at all. I think they're going to take their time, just break even on operations for the time being. Keep trying to do the little things like the private label brands, which I would love to see them do more of. Like right now, they have like CandyCon, which not anything mind blowing, not like, oh my god, this is crazy. They're gonna make a gazillion dollars, but it's their own private label brand. I'd like to see them do more stuff with that and create more private label brands because they generally speaking will make higher margins on them because it's something they're building in house. And on top of it, I think also the PSA cards are going to help things too, and also just more and more people are learning that you can actually like buy and sell PSA cards through GameStop. And if they can eventually allow, like, they have a partnership with PSA and are able to actually allow grading by bringing the cards to the store, that would be super dope. I made $1 million on GME. God damn, brother, that's a lot of money. So rich, pal Joey. I don't know, brother. I think you're trolling. I gotta be honest. Ryan Cohen is just trying to do its best for the company. First, always. Agreed, Ben. I absolutely agree. People say, "Oh, he killed the gamma ramp a couple times." I'm like, I get that perspective, but at the same time, he's strictly focusing on how can I take this company to a great place in the long term, not worrying about like the short term stock price. Hopefully, lose Croatia with phone numbers in your bank account. X1. And if I do, it might just have to stay there. I don't know, but happy birthday, bro. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. See you on X Tetra. Have a good trip. Yes, sir, Ben. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be posting some pics and some videos and stuff. I have millions and millions on GME and AMC. All right, pal Joey. Pal Joey. Let's go, evening crew. Eldon Yobo, what up, what up? Everyone shut up so we can catch up. Yeah, for real, crew. I know. But honestly, bro, I think I'm going to wrap it up soon. Yeah. But I love you guys in the chat. It's so hard. Like, I'm trying to hit everything in the chat, but it's so hard to keep up these days. But yeah, I'm almost caught up. There's a certain NVIDIA chip in every Tesla car, and NVIDIA can't keep up with their demand. He will only go to prison if he pisses off people. Keep him out of it now. Very good point. Round tripper theory is FUD. I'm not even honestly true about the round tripper theory. I'm curious. I'll have to look into that. Big guys never go to prison. It's always some underling or poor desk trader that gets blamed. That's true. That does make sense. They'll find another Huang to take the fall. Yeah, exactly. Bill Huang. What's it called? Archegos. Discernment. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Like I said, tired got here. Drink more water. Drink more water. Get fired up. And there's plan versus book issue. Exactly. That's all their conversation itself. Check out BitX. It pays a dividend and 2 times Bitcoin returns. You could sell covered calls. Interesting. I'll write it down, brother. I'm curious. I'm always curious to learn things, but I don't know. BitX, that seems how could it be 2x of Bitcoin and then also pay dividends? It seems a little odd. Can you tell me your opinion about PayPal? The chart are stay down, but they mostly have time positive earnings. Sure. So with PayPal, Honestly, I looked at it a little bit out of curiosity. I do think it's undervalued because they have a share buyback plan in place. They're still earning a net income, and when you look at their numbers over the past several years, like the stock price has fallen dramatically, but the numbers, like, it's not like the numbers are very, very bad. Like, it's fallen off a ton, right, since its peak, and it's kind of just traded sideways. Right? Oh, funny enough, look at that PayPal. So these are their margins. You see like the gross margins falling a little bit, but the operating margin is doing pretty well, and the net margin. And by the way, each number here is like a trailing 12-month number. And then you look at revenue and profit. The revenue's still going up. And then where is net income or operating income we could look at? Doing pretty well. And they're, like I said, they're also buying back shares. You can see their shares outstanding is starting to decrease because they're actually buying back shares. But where I think the situation lies, or oh my god, guys, I'm getting so tired, but I gotta keep going, gotta keep going. And I just realized the water bottle's in the way. And thank you, nice shirt, thank you, Liam. But the situation is like, since here, like, there's Apple Pay in place, like, there's so much competition in the payments industry. So that's where I really feel like the stock is so beat down. I mean, it is used worldwide, but there's just so much competition, right? Because stocks are always forward looking. I feel like at this time they had a stronger, like, during this run up, like the numbers look good, and on top of it, it looked like they had a very strong, very much like a stronghold on the industry. But since then, like, a lot more competition has entered the space, and the competitors are doing well and making it easier to access, right? Like using Apple Pay is easier than using PayPal now, right? Like if you're purchasing something like through the Apple Store, right? So yeah, I don't know. Some of those are some of my quick thoughts there, but experience on the 4 billion question. You're cool. Thank you, Samuel. Listen, I'm trying to be a cool cat. What can I say? But nice shirt. I'm assuming those shills talking about price movement today. Yeah, Liam. Listen, the reality of it is that whenever the stock price is going up, no one's got anything to say, right? The bears don't got anything to say. The share price starts going down. Oh shit, company! Oh my god! Right? Like, you start bugging out, and that's just the way she goes. But happy birthday! Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Will the income from the shares show up on the financial reports? Yeah. So if you mean like income from the cash, yeah, that'll be on the interest income. That will be showing up like in the financial reports. But in terms of like them actually selling the shares, like, you're gonna see that on the cash flow statement next quarter. So because this is all taking place in quarter two, we'll really see like the share issuances reflected on the cash flow statement, and like you'll actually see the cash added to the actual official numbers when we get the Q2 report, which, given that we just got the Q1 one, what, like a month ago or so, we got about like 2 months or so until we get that, so we got some time. But yeah, I wanted to touch on the meta stuff, or what is this, meta materials? I don't know, I haven't followed this too much, but apparently it came to a settlement, and shout out Dizzy, she's always sharing some good stuff on here. SEC charges Meta Materials of former CEOs of market manipulations, fraud, and other violations. And she brought up a good point, and this is why companies shouldn't try to engineer short squeezes and swindle the public. Essentially, I have the actual complaint here. SEC complaint filed in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of New York alleges that Berta and Palak Ross planned and conducted a manipulative scheme that included, among other things, issued a preferred stock dividend immediately before the merger. The complaint alleges that certain investors and consultants and hinted via social media that the dividend would force short sellers to exit their positions and trigger a, quote, short squeeze that would have artificially raised the price of the company's stock. The SEC further alleges that they also misrepresented the company's efforts to sell its oil and gas assets to distribute proceeds to preferred stockholders, giving investors a false impression of the value of the dividend. While investors held or bought the company's common stock to receive the dividend, the complaint alleges the company was cashing in by selling $137.5 million in at the money offering, or at the market offering, at prices that the company and Berta and Bruda, that's such an interesting last name, man, Palarakas knew were temporarily inflated by their manipulative scheme. We have 2 days, the complaint alleges he told him after the first day of the ATM offering to take advantage of the squeeze. So I'm saying, oh, well, Ryan Cohen, he could have did this or that to really facilitate the gamma ride. But it's like, you have to realize, if you did anything of the sorts, like, this is a small company. Just imagine the eyeballs on GameStop. So really, GameStop has to just focus. I mean, I feel like this is pretty widely known, but GameStop really just has to focus on GameStop and the company and the fundamentals, improving operations. Like the people running GameStop, that's what they can focus on. Like they can't focus on engineering any kind of short squeeze or anything like that because that's definitely illegal and definitely they're going to get slammed by the SEC. That's the reality of it. Content we allege was sophisticated yet brazen planned by a public company and its former CEOs to purposely mislead investors in the company's stock. This conduct is particularly alarming because it involves public company CEOs who were more concerned with burning the shorts than creating long-term value for shareholders. And this is the thing too. Ever since GameStop and people, really just learning how, like I guess you call it like predatory short selling works or naked shorting, like and just the mechanics of everything. So, oh, shorting's bad. Oh my God, right? We got to get back at them. We got to beat up the shorts. There's been this narrative that has been used, right? What was the other one? Like GNS or something? Was that what it was? That out of nowhere, like I think right here, yeah, it just run up and then comes right back down, right? There's been a lot of companies that have come and went that started saying like, oh yeah, like we're fighting back against the short sellers, like we're gonna get them good, right? But you know how you fight back against the short sellers? You succeed and you drive forward as a company. Look at anyone that was shorting Tesla, right? This is, I would say, the best example right here, right? Like during this run up, part of this was absolute short squeeze, right? Obviously, the company went through a transformation, became much more profitable and evolved. And also remember, they also split at 1.2, so it was actually lower. But this was anyone who was betting against Tesla this whole way up absolutely got burned because you know what they did? They just succeeded and drove forwards as a company. So that's what GameStop has to do to burn the shorts. People say, oh, they have to do this, they have to do that. No, to burn the shorts, the best thing they can do is just succeed as a company. That's the reality of it. And yeah, and I also saw Platinum's been talking about this on and off for a while, and again, I've only briefly kind of followed this story, not too much into it. But can you please comment on this RICO case against you? It looks like you were fined $900,000 in 2012. Is this the reason for the reverse merger with Poll Perfect to make TRCH public? And this is from 2012, talking about violation of Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, violation of RICO, breach of fiduciary duty, negligent misrepresentations and slash non-disclosures, fraudulent misrepresentations, and omissions. And shout out Platinum. Everyone likes to hate on her and whatever, but like this was back in 2023. This was over a year ago before this happened. She had dug up this information. She goes deep into things, so I absolutely respect the work she does. And then just on the side piece, just to get through everything here, everything I had open. They've been using ETFs all along. It's the main source of synthetic shares. That's why XRT, an ETF that holds GME, has 400% short interest. Yeah, if those of you that aren't aware that, and this is, this is a whole topic for another day. We can go more into this. There's literally an academic paper that was put out. I don't know if you guys saw this about T plus 35 failures to deliver cycles, evidence from GameStop Corporation. This is a legit research paper with like sources cited and just skimming through it, it's very, very interesting, right? That someone looked at GameStop and used that as part of what they're doing in their research paper, right? Or part of what they were talking about. But this is a brief explanation here. So ETF shares, secondary market, dealer inventory, non-displayed inventory, underlying securities basket, primary market. So iShares, right? This is the XRT. That's who offers the XRT ETF. The ETF shares, and then they have the underlying securities, and then they have authorized participants. And by the way, market makers have the ability to buy an ETF. Oh, let's pause this video on the side here. See, Dan Lauer's talked about this for a while. This is, what's her name? Pink Cats on Acid or something like that. But basically also, like, I don't know the specifics of it, but there are times where market makers, and I should not have to pull this up to talk more in depth about it, but generally, market makers have the ability to like purchase an ETF, then open up the ETF shares basically, and then hand pick out the securities, sell this one, do that with that one, right? And they have an incredible amount of power in the markets. That's all I could say. But this, I think we'll save this, guys, for the next stream. This one right here, I'll make sure I get to this next time. We'll put it over here so I don't forget. Because then I do want to go into this as well. The paper is very, very interesting, right? Keywords: fail to deliver, GameStop exchange traded funds, wave lock coherence. And this is it, if you guys are curious. Ooh. So yeah, I'll have to get this downloaded. See, it references GameStop, selected ETFs, right? It's pretty interesting, right? And what is this? Mendel University. Interesting stuff. And if this is from 2023, I don't know how it's just coming out now, or people are just talking about it now, but I gotta really fully read through it one day. Definitely curious. But yeah, and then also we'll go through more of this next time. The Consolidated Audit Trail, better known as CAT, is now in effect. There's some speculation on that. I was going through on the last stream. Some people are throwing together some theories. And last thing, this account, Brian Feroldi, I'm not very familiar with him, but he put out some great, very simple graphics explaining stuff very, very well. You know, a business is based on 3 key financial statements. That's absolutely true: balance sheet, income statement, cash flow. And here it just kind of breaks things down a lot. If you go through his whole Twitter, he has a lot of good like breakdowns, right? Like really nice infographics. And what I'm trying to do is start kind of saving these and then referencing them for certain times I want to talk about or points I want to make, because I think he really does a good job of like breaking down information, right? Whether it's from an emergency fund to here you have cash flow versus EBITDA, yeah, and key financial ratios, right? This is definitely good. So I'll bookmark this. That's a folder. See, I got my folders. By the way, guys, if you have X, I don't know if you need X Premium for this or you can just do it in general, but your experience can be so much better with when you bookmark, you save stuff. I'm trying to do that more. I just really started doing that. And you can put it in folders like you saw I have there. And then lists, right? Like I have the For You, Following, GME Elitist, the big finance accounts, miscellaneous big accounts, hockey, football, my 2 favorite sports to watch. So I figured I'd list for that. And then mostly memes, right? Just like miscellaneous stuff. But lists make your experience so much better. Because sometimes the For You page is like so all over the place, right? And also, what's the deal with this too? DNA. I, but I saw other people posting like they have a non-disclosure agreement, right, with Teddy and whatever. Like, listen, at the end of the day, guys, I'm not gonna tell you what to believe, but I want to be perfectly clear. I do not think there's any super secret, mega, triple, quadra, mega merger with Bed Bath & Beyond and Teddy and Blockbuster and Toys R Us and all these bankrupt companies, right? I'll believe it when I'll see it, right? Like I'll believe it when I see it. That's what I'm going to leave it at, because that's really my approach with anything with GameStop. Oh, GameStop's going to do this. GameStop's going to do that. I'll wait for GameStop to say it, and then I'll believe it, right? Otherwise, it's truly just all speculation. That's the reality of it. So, again, just be careful the information you listen to. Just always double check things. And yeah, I'm not saying I'm always going to be perfect, get everything right. I'm human. I make mistakes. And other people are human too. They make mistakes. So it's just important to really check the information and really try and think, okay, how could this be the case? Why could this be the case? Why is this information out there? What does this exactly mean, right? All that type of information. And when you're stuck on something, ChatGPT is a great tool, right? If I'm like, okay, right, you could even do this now, I think. You could be like, explain in simple terms. I think you can literally do a link now. But used to, even if not, right? Like you could just copy and paste like this whole thing. And just to get, like maybe not just like the whole article, but when you're like, okay, well, this part right here is confusing. Be like, can you explain this part in simpler terms? That's what ChatGPT is really good for, like breaking down information. In my opinion, that's how I use it the most, right? And then the image generating is fun sometimes. I'm sure you guys see it. Like even like the thumbnail, right? That's my favorite part of AI. I've been able to generate new thumbnails like that I never would have been able to generate previously, thanks to AI. And things that would have taken me forever to figure out how to make or to pay someone to make or whatever the case. Now I can just generate an image of a guy walking into a GameStop from a third-person view. Then boom, I have my thumbnail. Document from Jeffries outlines their policy procedures for related to Regulation SHO, which is a set of SEC rules governing short selling of securities. It covers topics like locate requirement. Brokers must have a reasonable belief that a security can be borrowed before accepting a short sale order. Closeout requirement. Firms must take action to close out failure to deliver positions. Monitoring procedures for monitoring and reporting compliance with Regulation SHO. And again, you shouldn't. Oh yeah, great. Now this is the whole thing, right? No, you gotta like still actually read it, but where it's really good is like if you want to break it down, right? Like if I'm like, okay, require SROs and their members, and this is something else now, right? Like this is the CAC, Consolidated Audit Trail. But suppose I'm reading it and I get to here and I'm like, require SROs and their members to synchronize the business clocks they use to record the date and time of any reportable event and require timestamps for each reportable event, central repository to be a millisecond or a fire increments. Let's say that confused me for some reason. All right, I just go like this. Explain in simple terms. And again, guys, we'll get more into this next stream. Do I want to do it tomorrow night? I think, stay tuned, guys. Follow me on X at Tetron Invest. I'm going to tweet out tomorrow morning what I'm doing. I think I'm going to stream tomorrow night instead of Thursday. Because, again, Thursday's my birthday. So I'm trying to, like, not do anything too crazy, but I just want to kind of relax. And I'll probably stream Wednesday night. If not, then maybe Friday. I don't know. I got to think about it. I got to see what's going on with my girlfriend, what her plans are the rest of this week. Well, no, Friday. I know Friday I can't actually. So I think tomorrow night we'll get into this more. I think that's the best bet. But explain this in simple terms. And again, just trying to show you guys like methods I use to learn. For the full context, see this website. Right? Like you could just feed it information. See, and it's browsing it. The rule you're referring from the SEC website requires that the self-regulatory organizations, SROs, and their members ensure the business clocks are synchronized. The synchronization is important because they use these clocks to record the exact date and time of any reportable events, such as trades or orders. Additionally, the timestamps for these events must be very precise, down to milliseconds or even finer, to ensure accurate and uniform reporting across the entire market. This requirement helps create a more transparent and orderly market by ensuring that all recorded times are accurate and consistent, reducing the risk of discrepancies or manipulation. What happens if there is, and you can ask follow-up questions, right? Like this is why I like it, because you can ask follow-up questions, and then it maybe whatever answer gives you makes you think a little bit more, and okay, well now I should go look into this thing next, right? What happens if there's a failure to deliver, right? This is a very just general question, but again, I'm just trying to show the power that ChatGPT has, right, in helping you learn. And again, don't just blindly read it and go, oh my god, I know everything about markets right now, right? And obviously you can't ask it like, what is GameStop stock price going to be in a week from now, right? Like that's never going to work. But it explains what a failure to deliver is, buy-in and penalties, regulation SHO, mandatory closeouts, right? Market impact, regulatory consequences. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I'm pretty much getting burnt out at this point. I can feel myself just kind of dwindling down, getting ready to sleep. Will the income from shares now show up? Or MMTLP, I have 6 figures in it. Damn, Stoney. Damn, brother. I wish you all the best. I hope the settlement pays out. I think there's some kind of settlement. The settlement fund is $3 million in cash. Your recovery will depend on the amount of shares purchased and the time of the purchase and sales, depending on the number of eligible securities. Eligible shares that participate in the settlement, and when those were purchased and sold, plaintiffs estimate the average cash recovery per share of common stock will be approximately, only 1.5 cents per share before deduction of court-approved fees and expenses. So it's probably honestly only really going to be 1 cent per share, which is pretty unfortunate. SoFi CEO Noto Anthony is buying up shares because he already knows the company is going to beat earnings. Michael, yeah, listen, this has been quoted a million times, but I'll say it once more. Peter Lynch has a great quote that goes something along the lines of, there's many reasons an insider may sell shares, but there's only one reason they buy. They believe the stock price is going to go up. And looks like that's the case with SoFi, right? I haven't looked at SoFi in a while, but it seems like they're pretty interesting. They could be undervalued potentially. I mean, they've been stuck in this single-digit range for a really long time now, right? Like since early 2022. So, listen, maybe there's something there, and an insider who's leading the company buying shares is absolutely bullish, just generally speaking. So, but of course, do your research, make your own determination how you want to go about that. It's not fraud will lead to discovery, which showed the blue sheet data for MMAT, MMLP, Torchlight, etc. Listen, Stody, yeah, I'm just an outsider looking on it. I don't know all the details, but it seems like definitely an interesting situation. I'm going to have to read a little more on that, that's for sure. Can't believe the SEC don't promote any blatant conflict of interest with Kenyan market makers, influencers. Yeah, listen, Don, unfortunately, it's the way things have been for a long time, brother. Like, where it's just a lot of suspicious activity taking place and a lot of just looking the other way, right? Not seeing it, but later, time in hands, have a good night. BM, you really loved the video, my friend. I wish you the best of luck if you're invested, but alright, guys, yeah, sorry if I was rambly tonight, but still a fun stream. Love connecting with you guys in the chat. Actually going to wrap it up now. I know I've probably been saying, I'm going to wrap it up soon for like an hour now. I tend to do that, so thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you have a great night. Stay tuned. It's very likely I'm going to be streaming tomorrow night around the same time. So again, follow me on X. All right, you can find me here, and we'll talk about that other tweet at Tetron Invest. I always tweet out like when I'm gonna go live. I'm like live now. See, live tonight. It's like a little GameStop in the background there, and I was feeling bullish this afternoon. And then I tried to do a live stream schedule. But again, when I put this out, I kind of forgot my birthday was this Thursday. So I think we're going to do tomorrow instead, guys. I'm going to tweet it out tomorrow morning what the exact plan is. But again, I appreciate you guys being here very, very much. Hope everyone has a fantastic night.